welcome you to Fort Myers, Florida, and JetBlue Park, Fenway South. A beautiful day in Southwest Florida for Grapefruit League action. Today it is the Red Sox from JetBlue Park hosting the visiting Pittsburgh Pirates as the fans settle in for a great day of baseball. We welcome everybody inside JetBlue Park. I'm Don Orsillo, and today a special day for us. Our friends from Root Sport and the Pittsburgh Pirates are here as well. And Greg Brown, the voice of the Pirates, with us. Should be a lot of fun today.
I understand you had a lot of fun the last time we joined efforts, Nesson and Root Sports, Don. I'm looking forward to it. Kind of sitting back as a play-by-play guy and like the fans listening to these two color analysts talk.
Should be a lot of fun today. Of course, we'll have the Rem Dog alongside my partner during the season. 10-year Major League career, the president of Red Sox Nation, Red Sox Hall of Famer, and one of the 100 all-century team members of the Red Sox.
John Wehner, no stranger to Pirates fans. This Pittsburgh native, spent 10 years in the big leagues, most of them with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And John, you kind of kiddingly talk often about the fact that at no time were you certain to lock up a job out of spring training. And so here we are less than a week away, and today's starter, Jeff Locke, is not locked into the rotation yet.
This time of the year, I was a nervous wreck. It's you can't sleep. You're at home. You're wondering what's going to happen. Am I going to go to AAA? Am I going to make the big league club? And yeah, Jeff Locke, feeling the pressure, I'm sure, last night and today. Hopefully, he'll have a good impression and lock up that fifth spot.
Well, for the Red Sox today, Clay Buchholz takes the mound, and he's had a great spring for the Red Sox. 13 in the third innings. He's only given up one earned run, and like most Red Sox starting pitches all season long, all spring long, they've had a great spring, and Buchholz hopes to continue today.
A lot of things to watch today as the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Boston Red Sox come together on the field from JetBlue Park, and it's coming your way next.
Today,
is presented to you by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. Be there for the opening homestand of the 2013 season as the Baltimore Orioles visit Fenway Park for a three-game series, starting with the home opener April 8th through April 11th. The action continues April 12th through Marathon Monday on the 15th when the Sox battle Tampa Bay. Get your tickets for these great matchups at redsox.com/tickets.
Welcome back to Fort Myers, Florida, in JetBlue Park. First pitch between the Pirates and Red Sox just seconds away. I'm Robbie Mikowski, field reporter for the Pittsburgh Pirates. I'll be bringing you live Pirate player interviews during the game today. I'll preview tomorrow's starter for the Pirates back in Bradenton, and also tell you about a really cool tie-in between Roberto Clemente and the city of Fort Myers, Florida, including a great photo. You don't want to miss it.
And just on the other side of home plate, I'm Jamie Erdahl, going to bring you everything you need to know from the Red Sox side of things. It's a packed house here at JetBlue Park this afternoon. We're lucky enough to have two former Major League infielders in the booth with us today, Jerry Remy and John Wehner. We're going to ask you at home to use the hashtag AskThePros to ask your questions of John and Jerry. I already have one hashtag AskThePros. John, Jerry, how happy are you guys to be in the air-conditioned booth this afternoon?
This is one of the hottest days we've had down here in Southwest Florida. Hot and muggy this afternoon.
Yeah, just a pretty good lather we were gathering down there, wasn't it? I mean, boy, melting as we did the open.
Well, again, we're glad to have Root Sports with us today and Nesson combining for this telecast coming to you from JetBlue Park at Fenway South. Starling Marte leading it off here for the Pirates in the top half of the first inning. Clay Buchholz, one of his last tune-ups prior to the regular season, as Buchholz so far during the spring, 2-0 in 4 starts, a 0.68 earned run average. And one thing you'll notice today is his pace. Over the last couple of years, he has worked deliberately, as a lot of the Red Sox starters have. And Jerry, this is a guy who has picked it up under John Farrell and Juan Nieves' tutelage.
Yeah, it's been kind of a common theme throughout the Red Sox rotation. Guys picking up speed, working at a faster pace, and it has been very successful down here in spring training for Boston pitchers.
Marte will ground this, a fair ball by the brought-in third baseman Middlebrooks down the left field line, and Marte is thinking too. The throw to second will be not in time, and a leadoff double placed nicely down the left field line by Marte.
So you guys don't typically enjoy the 4-hour games? You don't, the pace? I mean, I thought that was the norm in the AL East, that you put it on at 8, you go back at 1, you're still playing for the most part.
Pretty much. We look at the Pirates starting lineup: Marte, Presley, Walker with Alvarez at third, Jones at first, Martin doing the catching, Snyder in right, Barmes is the shortstop, and the North Conway, New Hampshire native Jeff Locke getting the start today for the Pirates. John, yeah, we have our fair share of 3.5, 4-hour tilts.
It's amazing. And I just, obviously you got 2 good hitting teams as well. Yep. I mean, you guys are on so much with the Yankees, and you got patient hitters on both sides. They take a lot of pitches. But again, if you have pitchers that are slow paced, I guess that's why you have 4-hour games.
Well, you would think today would be a hitter's afternoon as Alex Presley comes up to the plate. I mean, you got hot, humid conditions, wind blowing out towards center field. You would think a good day for the hitters.
Buchholz dealing here with Alex Presley, who fouls it back to the screen.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but we haven't been scoring a whole lot of runs, and maybe because of the weather, and as you know, the wind will dictate pretty much how many runs are going to be scored. And up north, Bradenton, we haven't had a whole lot of high-scoring games just yet.
Bradenton's facility, very nice. We've been there several times over the last few years, and where you guys call home during spring.
Beautiful, and we brag about it all the time, and then you come here and you guys are kind of showing us up a bit. This place is unreal. Only the second time for me being in this ballpark, and it really is something else.
The Pirates coming in here once again, and of course the Red Sox and Pirates meet a great deal during the spring training schedule and have already been to Bradenton. 1-1 pitch, he'll miss for ball 2.
Last outing for Buchholz was against Pittsburgh. He went 5 innings in that game, giving up 1 earned run. That's the only earned run he has given up so far this spring. Went 5 innings, and hopefully try to increase that today along with his pitch count.
2-1 is high for ball 3. John, what's the feel so far right now for Pirates fans heading into the regular season?
Well, you look at the lineup, it looks so much better than years past. These guys are a year older. You add a veteran like Martin in the mix, but a few of the guys everybody knows. Andrew McCutchen, MVP type season last year. Alvarez has incredible power. Garrett Jones has some pop as well. You like the offense. You think this team's going to score a lot more runs this year.
This is the center, hit pretty well. Ellsbury headed back, will get there to make the catch. Looked like he battled the sun a little bit, as tagging up his Marte and taking third base.
Let's take a look at the Red Sox defense this afternoon. Will Middlebrooks will be at third base. Jose Iglesias, the shortstop. Dustin Pedroia at second. And Mike Napoli, the first baseman. Left to right, Johnny Gomes, Jacoby Ellsbury, and Shane Victorino. And David Ross doing the catching for Buchholz.
One down, Marte at third base. Neil Walker standing in.
The one thing they're going to look for offensively is a little more consistency. Last year there was a lot of ups and downs. A horrible start offensively for the club. April and May was pretty bad, and then we were as good as anybody through June and July. Started hitting the ball out of the ballpark. It was one of the strangest things I've ever witnessed, really. Maybe the worst offense in baseball for 2 months, and to one of the best, and then it kind of went back down the last couple of months. But I think with any team, when you heading into the start of this season, you question the pitching. How good is the pitching going to be? And again, last year for a half, it was a pretty good at least starting rotation, and it kind of went downhill a little bit after the All-Star break.
It seems Clint Hurdle has been very well received in his time with the Pirates.
Yeah, I tell you what, he brings in enthusiasm. The guys really take to him. He's open. He's honest. He's not here. Jeff Bannister, the bench coach, sitting in for Clint Hurdle. He's going to stay back and spend some time in minor league camp.
A little pop-up left side as from third comes Middlebrooks to make the catch. The sun's going to be an issue here today, Jared. High sky here at the ballpark.
Well, we talked about it earlier. The sun, the wind, the heat, humidity. It's going to be difficult, I think, for all fly balls in the infield, outfield. Good pitch by Buchholz that time. Got a cut fastball in on Walker and got that little pop-up with the man at third base. So now with 2 outs, the infield can go back. Well, strange that time they had the left side of the infield in. Right side was back against a left-handed hitter. Now they can all move back with 2 outs.
2 down in the inning. Marte 90 feet away, and here's Pedro Alvarez, third baseman. Talking about offense, has had kind of a slow spring, hitting at 143 as he lifts it in the air to left. Johnny Gomes in there in left field to make the catch. It ends the inning. So ball in the air 3 times in the inning, but Clay Buchholz does not allow a run. The Red Sox will be coming up from JetBlue Park. Warm day from JetBlue Park at Fenway South as Jeff Locke on the mound today for the Pittsburgh Pirates. He will be facing a Red Sox lineup. Looks like this. Jacoby Ellsbury leading it off in center field with Shane Victorino around in right. Dustin Pedroia at second base. Mike Napoli at first base. Will Middlebrooks at third. Jared Saltalamacchia, the DH, bat sixth with Johnny Gomes in left. David Ross does the catching eighth, and Jose Iglesias at shortstop bats ninth. Mentioned off the top, Jeff Locke, a North Conway, New Hampshire native, and he is vying for the 5th spot in the rotation. One of the guys trying to make it on the Major League roster heading into the season for the Pirates.
Minor league pitcher of the year last year for Locke, and we saw him at the end of the year. It looked pretty good. He, a little more mature, had better command of his breaking stuff. Sneaky, quick fastball. Throws the slider and the change. To me, for him, it's going to be command, and especially the command of the fastball. Whether or not he can last, I think he has maybe a step up on the competition to get that 5th spot. But again, if he can command the fastball, I think he'll be pretty decent.
Now ready to work here to Jacoby Ellsbury, who leads it off in the bottom of the first inning. The Pirates threatened but did not score in the top of the first. As I mentioned, we were taking your questions today and hoping you'll be part of the conversation with our 2 pros here in the booth with us today. As we look at Ellsbury's numbers from the spring, 9 for 40 so far during spring training, hitting at .225 as he takes a look at a ball. Our first question of the day: what is the difference between baseball now and baseball back when you both played?
Well, I played before him, so it has to be quite a bit different. I don't know. To me, it's the same game. It's I think obviously the financial end of it is quite a bit different than it was in the past. There's no doubt about that. But every player seems to think.
This will grab some wall, top of the scoreboard, and Ellsbury into second base with a leadoff double.
Every player seems to think the era that they played in is probably the best, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that players today are in better shape than players in the past. They train all year long, even during the season. As we take it, Jacoby Ellsbury takes that fastball you were talking about that was away from him and goes right with it to the opposite field out toward the Green Monster, right off the top of the scoreboard area for the leadoff double for Ellsbury. I don't know what your feelings are, but it's kind of the way I feel about it.
Yeah, I think for one, the guys are bigger, like you said. They're stronger. I think there's a little more emphasis on power nowadays than it was in the past. The ballparks have shrunk, obviously, a little bit in most cases, obviously not in Boston. But, I'm not going to say that fundamentals are ignored, but I think you paid a little more attention to it. You saw more sacrifice bunting throughout the lineup, not just with the pitcher in the National League. I think it's kind of back to the Earl Weaver days in a sense where a lot of teams play for that three-run homer. You're looking to get guys that can knock the ball out of the ballpark.
Well, there used to be a huge difference between the American League and the National League, and really right now there isn't, with the exception, of course, of the pitcher hitting. But it seems like in both leagues everybody's become home run conscious.
Sure. Yeah, you don't see as much base stealing as you did in the past. Again, we saw it in the top of the first inning. As far as you get a leadoff double, there was one thing on your mind after a leadoff double back in the day. I mean, you're getting that guy over to third, and you're going to sacrifice yourself. Not that they're not trying to do that today, but I think that it was stressed more back in the day as far as doing the little things. I think there was a lot more time spent on it, and I think a more of a conscious effort to get the job done.
Well, Shane Victorino, who spent his career in the National League, now in the American League, and part of the WBC, representing the United States, back here with the Red Sox again. And 4 for 25 in this camp as he bats with Ellsbury at second base.
And talking about fundamentals, this is an opportunity here for Victorino to try to move that ball to the right side of the infield and get Ellsbury to third base with less than 2 outs. It also could come by way of the steal. Jacoby does not have one this spring.
Yeah, I realized that we found that out today. We were taking a look at the stats, and they had talked about it in John Farrell's meeting. And one of the questions, Jerry, was, is it a chance for him to get ready for the regular season to steal bases? This one is grounded to third, and Alvarez will gun across. I mean, how long would you go without stealing a base? I would think you'd want to do that during the spring at some point just to get ready for the regular season. Ellsbury has not.
Well, I would try to do it right from Jump Street. I mean, it's something to me that you just can't turn on and off. I mean, guys have great speed, but there's also that timing issue that you have to deal with pitches, motions, and different things like that. So, I was one that felt like, right away I wanted to try to steal and get a couple under my belt and feel good about it.
Safe to assume, too. I mean, you probably were looking to go, unless you were told otherwise, to go every pitch. And depending on the time to the plate or if you got a jump or not, you'd shut yourself down. I don't see that today as often.
You think he is fearful at all that perhaps all the injuries that he's had to do something like that during the spring?
I think Farrell mentioned something about that today. He doesn't want anybody getting hurt down here in spring training. I think you'll see an uptick in the last week of spring training of playing more aggressive baseball, more of a baseball like you would see during the regular season.
Ellsbury again has not attempted to steal during the spring, and they are well aware of his speed as they try to pick him off second base. Again, we'll be taking your questions all day today and hope you'll be part of the conversation as #AskThePros today. As Dustin Pedroia bats with 1 out and Ellsbury at second base. Pedroia 13 for 39 so far during the spring. That's in there for a strike. And our next question today is about the length of spring training. You think spring training is too long? When did you think you were ready for real games?
I think it's way too long.
Yeah.
I think, especially this year, it has been extremely long because of the WBC. But I always felt 2 weeks of games for a position player was probably enough.
Yeah, I think you'd ask any position player, they'll tell you it's too long. They're ready to go north now. Obviously with the pitchers, though, and especially another change in today's game than in the past, they take great care of the pitchers. Obviously they don't want to get anybody hurt, so they make sure that they inch their way up. They start after start, to get that pitch count up. And I don't know if that was the case when you were playing, but it seems to me that, the pitchers are really monitored much more and stretched out a lot more in spring training.
Well, with that, Jerry Ellsbury was off at the pitch and a ground ball to short as Barmes throws across to get Pedroia. But That time Ellsbury was off. We're now 2 outs in the inning.
I remember one year we were on strike or locked out. I can't remember which one it was, but it was no baseball. We came down for about 3 weeks of spring training, 1 week to get in shape, and 2 weeks to play games. And when we broke camp, we were fine. Pitchers weren't going 9 innings, but they don't anyway, Right. So, I mean, the position players, at least, I can speak for them, that after a couple of weeks of at-bats, I think they're ready to go.
It does seem that it is more meant for the starting pitchers to stretch it out and get to the last week of spring training, and generally everybody's around 100 pitches. They get ready for their first turn during the regular season. As Mike Napoli, batting out of the cleanup spot, stands in. The Pirates had a chance to score in the first. They left Marte at third. Now the Red Sox with 2 outs have Jacoby Ellsbury at third base.
Yeah, I would think you'd ask these guys. Most of them start getting in shape in November.
Yeah,
whereas
exactly.
You started getting in shape when you got down here in Florida in February.
So you didn't work out all season, Remdog? You just rolled in fat in a spring training? Or
No, to tell you the truth, during the season, there was no such thing as working out during the season. It was just playing the game. But the players today are much different. I mean, they go through a regimen all season long to stay strong, try to stay healthy. We see them all the time up in the weight room and doing different things. And that was not something that was done in my time. It was more of other things.
I think of I always came into camp in great shape, and I played a few years with Bob Walk, who never came in great shape, and he always did great, and I always did terribly. So I never really got the whole idea. You hear it all the time. Oh, the guy's in great shape. Well, if he can't play, who cares how good a shape he's in?
Well, we had Bob Walk with us in our last Nesson Root Sports venture as the Red Sox and Pirates coming together here again and sharing broadcast today from JetBlue Park. And there's ball 4 to Mike Napoli, who heads down to first base.
I will say this, the best you feel is the first day of spring training. After that, it's downhill the rest of the year.
Well, Jeff Locke with a 2-out walk here to Napoli, and a chance for Will Middlebrooks coming up. I think there's a good amount of pressure on Locke here today. This outing, especially maybe his last outing, to kind of prove himself.
I would think so. I was one of the guys, we mentioned it briefly during the Open. I was never given a job out of spring training, and I was a nervous wreck, especially this time of year. You're a few days away from knowing your fate, so I have to assume that, he has some butterflies. You hope once he gets on the field, he calms down a little bit, but boy, it's horrible for a utility guy or, maybe a fifth spotter or bullpen guy, like not knowing where you're going, I think I've made 3 teams out of spring training, so that means I failed, 8, 9, 10 times. I don't know how many camps, but it's certainly nerve-wracking.
I would imagine the experience in spring training totally different for a guy who is trying to make the team, other than guys, the veterans who know they're going to be on the team and just trying to get their work in. I mean, it's a totally different philosophy.
Yeah, no doubt. They're just going out there and you're prepping for the season, essentially, and and for a guy like Jeff Locke, or a bullpen guy fighting for a spot, almost every pitch, you have to throw it with conviction. It's literally going to determine where you end up and how much you're going to get paid.
Well, he's falling behind here, 3-0. Ellsbury at third base. Napoli across the diamond at first base. 2 down here in the last half of the first. Let's see, Middlebrooks got the green light. He will take, and he takes strike 1.
And the way he took that, it looked like he may have had the green light on the 3-0 count there, but that pitch, not a good one to swing at. It was down and away.
It's been a good spring for Will Middlebrooks, and a healthy one. The most important thing for Middlebrooks. 11 for 35 during the spring at .314, and he will lift this in the air out to deep center field. Marte out there takes him onto the warning track as he makes the catch to retire the side. The bench coach, Torrey Lavello, will join us here at JetBlue Park when we come back. Scoreless back at JetBlue Park at Fenway South as we head into inning number 2, and it's great to have with us the bench coach of the Boston Red Sox, Torey Lovullo. And Torey, how are things going for you so far during the spring?
Yeah, I can't complain one bit. It's been an honor and a privilege to be a part of this great Red Sox nation, and just excited and ready to get things started.
Torey, you're back in the organization again. Of course, the manager of the Pawtucket Red Sox a few years ago. You were on John Farrell's staff last year in Toronto, and now you're back as the bench coach. What's it been like to be with John Farrell since he's been a manager?
You know, I've got a chance to be a part of a great team, and he's a great leader. And you know, obviously we all feel the same way about him. He's a very, very strong personality, strong friend, and just, you know, day in and day out I get to operate with a guy that's pretty spectacular in a lot of different ways. But you know, to be here, part of this Red Sox family with John in charge, nothing gets better.
Torey, your impressions of the club. You know, we're getting down to the last week of the season, and it has been a very quiet spring. A couple of injuries, of course, have set things back. David Ortiz, Stephen Drew. But overall, things have been pretty quiet and a good working spring for you guys.
Yeah, I think so. I think, you know, missing a couple of key guys, a couple of key ingredients offensively, we may not be where we want offensively because of those missing parts, but overall I think we've done a great job of setting up a foundation, a great core work ethic for some of the things that we want to get to during the season. And we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're not going out there to say we're going to do all these trick plays and win games that way. We're looking to have things in our satchel, in our vault, just in case things arise. We want to make sure that we're a prepared team. I think we're ready.
What's the spring been like for you as far as setting everything up and getting everybody in camp? You get a lot of moving parts on a daily basis.
Man, I'm glad you feel that. You're right. On a daily basis, you know, I have 4 or 5 people waiting for me to come in and talk shop and give me their feedback on how the day is going to run. But that's my responsibility, and that's what I welcome. I welcome all the input on a daily basis. I told the guys, as you come in here, don't be afraid to reach out and let me know what I need to do to make the day run smoothly.
That's interesting. We look out right now for a small example of things you've been working on, and the shift is one of them. And I look at the shift right now, and I see Pedroia out in right field, and you see Middlebrooks over at the second base position. The reason for that?
Well, that's Brian Butterfield. There's nobody better as far as I'm concerned. He studies, he pays attention, and he wants to put guys in the right position.
Well, here Middlebrooks on the right side. Now in Toronto, Brett Laurie was sent into shallow right in a lot of different situations. Is that something we could see with Middlebrooks, or do you think this will be the alignment during the season?
No, I think Butter uses a pretty good sense as to who the rover is going to be in this case. He wants to put a very good athlete out there in Dustin Pedroia, not taking anything away from Will or in this case Iggy or perhaps Steven, but he wants to put the most active infielder in that rover position, make him aware of some key situations, and be able to react. And you know, like I said, Butter, nobody's better than Butter. He spent so many countless hours studying this setup, making sure that we don't run into a buzzsaw because we are out of position. You'll watch this thing work, and it gets to be pretty fun.
Well, Clay Buchholz working here to Garrett Jones. Torey Lovullo joining us here, and new bench coach for the Red Sox. And an interesting role for you this season. You've been a manager before, as we mentioned, the minor league level. You come in here, and what has been the relationship with John Farrell so far? I mean, the give and the take. I mean, you guys already know each other, so it's a relationship that already exists.
I said at the very beginning, I think there's just a built-in confidence between the two of us. We've been around each other for a long time in this game. We're going on 20 years of a great relationship, and you know, between that and now sitting down each and every day, getting the chance to talk to him and work with him on a more intimate level, it's been spectacular. You know, we have great conversations during the game. And it's all about the players and putting the player in the best situation to be successful.
Well, Torey, congratulations on being the staff again. We look forward to seeing you all season long. And thanks for joining us today.
Anytime, guys. Me too.
Torey Lovullo joining us as a home run for Garrett Jones out to left center field, clears the fence and puts the Pirates on top.
He's a big, strong man. Kind of, you know, got to the big leagues a little late, a little older. But boy, when he stays short and quick, where you see right there, you know, barrel straight to the ball, inside it. He has the kind of power that can go out the center to left center, majestic shots to right, and it's just a matter of being consistent for Garrett Jones.
Now Russell Martin will line this to left. Johnny Gomes got kind of fooled in the beginning, but comes on and recovers. He had started back, but comes in to make the grab on the sinking liner for the first out of the inning.
Yeah, because of that sinking liner, that was a very good play by Johnny Gomes. I mean, that had a lot of topspin on it. heading out toward Gomes, and I didn't think he was going to get to it. I thought it was going to drop in, but he comes in, makes the slide, and closes that glove up before it hits the grass.
Well, I'm sure you guys are used to this, but with the short porch and left, obviously the left fielder gets to play a little more shallow. In any other ballpark, they're playing deeper. They probably don't even break for the ball. That's got to be a big adjustment for who's ever in left field at Fenway.
That's exactly right. And I have always said that, playing left field at Fenway, you should play shallow. And we see all different types of styles. Guys come in, they're not comfortable with the wall, so that some of them play deeper than they probably should play. But, I think for the most part, you can take a lot of base hits away because of the wall out there by playing shallow.
Manny Ramirez got to the point where he's almost at shortstop, though.
Yeah.
This became a bit of a concern.
There were times we'd look out there and see where Manny was playing, and it was a complete joke. I mean...
Well, I have seen him in cutoff position a number of times.
Cut off a few from left field. 0-2 the count to Travis Snyder, who bats and takes a pitch outside. Garrett Jones with the home run as the Pirates on top 1-0. His first home run of the spring. As the outfield plays straight away here on Snyder, Buchholz with a 1-2 pitch. John, we don't have the chance to work at your ballpark all that often. Interleague we have, and very much enjoy going there. And beautiful ballpark, great look at downtown. But how does it play as a ballpark? Would you say it's a pitcher's park?
No doubt. It's definitely a pitcher's park. It is so beautiful. I grew up in Pittsburgh, so obviously a bit biased, I suppose. But, big to left center field, big to straightaway left. It narrows a little bit right down the line and left, but you got a big wall, not quite like the Green Monster in right, 21 feet high in honor of Roberto Clemente. But, once you get probably from straightaway right to the line, that's kind of a short porch. But from straightaway right to center, it's a legitimate shot. But beautiful, a little thicker grass, too, so that obviously helps the pitchers. But, it's a big advantage, I think, for especially left-handed pitching.
That's coming from a guy who hit the last home run at Three Rivers Stadium. That's got to be, Three Rivers has got to be very close to your heart.
Oh yeah, boy, how lucky I was. I mean, really, just to grow up in the city, just maybe 7-8 miles from Three Rivers. I went to so many games there, watching the Pirates, and back then the Phillies were a big rivalry, and it never ended. Even up to that last game at Three Rivers, I still stood out there on defense and looked around at the places I used to sit, and it was pretty special. And I'm assuming you were a Red Sox fan growing up.
Absolutely,
as well, right?
Absolutely.
And it's just so neat. You go to get to work and get to play at the place where you grew up and idolizing. Willie Stargell and that whole '79 team. I have such fond memories of seeing that club and getting an opportunity to play there and in a couple pennant races early too, '91, '92. Boy, it was it's hard to explain really.
Ground ball to short, and on the run, Iglesias' throw is in time. We were just talking about Three Rivers and Roberto Clemente as Robbie Ince-Makowski. Will have more on that coming up when we come back.
1-0 Pirates thanks to a Garrett Jones home run here in Fort Myers, Florida. I'm Robbie Mikowski. We all know who Roberto Clemente is and the legacy that he left, but what you may not know is that he has a unique connection here to the city of Fort Myers, Florida. Back in 1955 is when the Pittsburgh Pirates were holding their spring trainings here in Fort Myers at the old Terry Park. That happened until 1968, of course. Then in 69 they moved to McKechnie Field. But one of the most famous photos ever taken of Roberto Clemente happened here in Fort Myers at Terry Park. It's that photo right there of Roberto Clemente leaping for a baseball, and the clouds are shaped almost perfectly, guys, like angel wings behind him. But the unique story behind the photo, it was taken around 1960, and then it was later on found in a trash bin back in 1991, stored in a box for 7 years. Then they bought it at the Roberto Clemente Museum, and that is where it is stored and displayed. So many people have seen that photo, Don, but they may not know the origination of where that photo was taken right here in Fort Myers, Florida. It's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool, Robbie. Thanks very much, as that is an incredible story. That thing almost ended up getting thrown out at one point in a trash can. But a great shot there of Roberto Clemente and all that he meant to Major League Baseball and certainly to Pittsburgh and the great tradition of the Pittsburgh Pirates, as Red Sox and Pirates meeting today, and Saltalamacchia taking a pitch for a ball and ahead in the count 3-1.
As Jeff Locke was throwing his 21st pitch, they showed the picture of Roberto Clemente. I thought that was
timely.
Pretty impressive.
3-1 is to left, and Presley goes back to leap and can't get it. Off the wall and back down again as Saltalamacchia will scamper into second base. Stands at second to begin things here in the bottom of the second inning as Presley made a bid out there and left.
Well, Saltalamacchia, who, offensively generally is better from the left side of the plate, this time gets a high fastball and gets his hands above the baseball and puts it on a line up over the head of a leaping Presley out in left field. Nice effort by the left fielder as he'll jump, but again, I think a little unfamiliar with the wall out there, and maybe one more step and he might have had a shot at it, but that ball was hit very hard by Saltalamacchia.
So Saltalamacchia at second base to begin things here in the second inning, and Johnny Gomes coming up. Jerry, I'm going to make an observation. We've not had the chance to work with John Wehner in the past, and today we do. Great analyst from the Pittsburgh Pirates, former major leaguer. And at looking at him, Jerry, I think he could be a relative of Jason Varitek. What do you think? Take a look.
Does look like a lot like Varitek.
He could be Jason Varitek's brother.
Huh. Must be the goatee.
It could be. It could be. But, I mean, I was trying to figure. I'm looking at him saying to myself, who does he remind me of? Who does he remind me of? I saw Tech for the game. You could be Jason Varitek's brother. Solid. That is.
Well, I guess in Boston, that would be a compliment.
That would be a good thing.
That will go a long way in Boston. As Jason is here today, again, has been working with the catchers and been here a lot this spring. Saltalamacchia at second base, and Gomes batting with a count of 0-1. This one flared foul. Well, the resume for John Wehner, who's joining us here today to begin this game. 11-year Major League career between Pittsburgh and Florida. World Series champion, part of the 97 Florida Marlins, and MLB record for consecutive errorless games by a third baseman at 99. And we mentioned already the last home run at Three Rivers Stadium. And there's his brother Jason.
Hey, 99 errorless games. That had to build on you, didn't it? I mean, you start thinking about that?
No idea. I had no idea. It's, I've been up and down so much in my career. To tell you the truth, the errorless streak started in 1992, and it ended in that same last game at Three Rivers Stadium in the year 2000. So I knew I hadn't made an error at third base in some time. I was a utility guy. I played 8 of the 9. I didn't pitch. And so I just happened to call our PR guy and say, hey, I haven't made an error in some time. You mind counting them up? And so they found out at that point in time that it was a record. And so a bit fluky. I'm sure a lot of the appearances at double switches late in the game, going in for defense or whatever. So, it was something that I was clueless about. A guy in my position as utility guy used as a defensive replacement a lot of the times, the overwhelming fear of messing up was constant, and Jim Leland had great faith in me wherever he threw me, and, he was like my sponsor. He's a guy that, appreciated, I guess, what I could do and somehow saw value in what I did. And so, for me, I didn't want to make an error. That was the thing that I worried about more than anything.
Softly lined to second, and Walker is there to make the catch. Well, we've been talking about utility players, and that leads us to our next Twitter question today. And again, we hope you'll continue to tweet in your questions this afternoon. How important is having a utility player? I think you know the answer to that, John.
Yeah, especially today because, again, a difference from yesterday and when you played and I played till now is the 12-man pitching staff. So you have so many fewer guys on the bench. And you like to have, a big left-handed bat and a right-handed bat, and then you got your backup catcher. That only leaves a couple more spots. So it's nice to have the versatility, the guy that can move all over the place, not just a utility infielder, but you see more and more now. You got guys that can play in the infield and the outfield, and especially on a good team, that adds a lot of value.
And we talked a little bit about Pedro Ciriaco, a very valuable guy on the Red Sox because he can play different positions and play them well. And last year they tried to get him to play a little bit in the outfield so he could also get more playing time. So very valuable, a guy that can move around and especially do the job with the glove. I mean, the offense is secondary. I think as a utility guy, you go in, you play steady defense, and you're going to be in the big leagues for a long time.
Sure. And even, we just played Tampa yesterday, so a guy like Ben Zobrist that is a regular but plays a lot of positions, that makes your whole squad deeper in case of an injury or what have you. All of a sudden, you lose your shortstop. Zobrist can go in and play shortstop, and then, throw your fourth outfielder out there, whatever the case may be. But it makes your whole team deeper. It's not as catastrophic, I guess, if you have, one guy for every position. So, I think it's especially with the 12-man staff, I think you almost need a guy that can play at least capable defense in a lot of different positions.
Well, Pedro Ciriaco certainly proving his value last year. The Red Sox been hampered by some back spasms, but should be on track to start the season with the Red Sox. So you certainly know about Pedro Ciriaco, the former Pirate.
Yeah, and you like the body, you like the athleticism, always provided good defense. Never thought that he was going to hit a whole lot, but he did great for you guys last year, especially against the Yankees. He was a Yankee killer. And,
was.
And I'm sure he's much more athletic than I was, and I'm sure he'll be fine wherever you put him. I thought Leland was a bit crazy. I was a defensive liability in the minor leagues, and he said, let's go move you to second, let's move you to first, let's play in center field. I thought that was a hoot.
This is to right, who will dunk in for a base hit for Ross, and a bobble out there gets by Snyder, and coming around is Saltalamacchia to score, so Ross will just keep running, and he'll get into third base as the Red Sox able to tie the score 1-1, misplayed in right by Travis Snyder.
Now David Ross, who is only hitting .050 this spring, going to the opposite field, and Travis Snyder misplays the ball in right field. That's going to allow Saltalamacchia to come around and score. Looks like he got a little spin that backed up on him and bounced up over the glove. He has to track it down by the time he does. Saltalamacchia scores, and Ross is in the third base.
You don't see that very often. Travis has been pretty solid as a defender out there, and the ball is kind of coming down. I don't know if sometimes as you're an outfielder and you start breaking down, if you get on your heels, the ball shakes on you a little bit, and maybe that was the case, or maybe he was worried about that runner maybe coming around third, tried to be a bit quick.
And Jose Iglesias stands in with the infield playing about halfway, and he sends it foul to the backstop. As they come in a tad with Ross at third base and one out.
I like this. I like the fact that they're playing the infield in like this, because these are situations that a lot of times happen later in games, and you don't get a chance to practice that in spring training. And now they're doing it here early in the game. Normally, probably in a game that's this score, this early, you wouldn't see the infield in at this point.
What I like about it is they're not all the way in. You don't have a very fast runner in David Ross at third base. You see certain guys, they want the infielders all on the grass. And so at least, Jeff Bannister is playing a role as a manager for Clint Hurdle, who stayed back, is, and that's the thing we saw all last year, and we'll see this year, that, they give the middle infielders a little more range. Let them get back about halfway.
Swing and a miss for Iglesias, and it's 1-2. Jose is 11 for 49 during the spring, hitting at .224. Added some strength and weight during the offseason, and certainly has hit the ball much harder. His defense has been very good as always, and In a moment, we're going to get an update from Jamie Erdahl about the shortstop situation for the Red Sox, which Red Sox fans are certainly wondering about, as this one is grounded back up the middle into center field. Iglesias drives in Ross, and the Red Sox take a 2-1 lead. Let's hear from Jamie Erdahl. Jamie?
Well, Jose Iglesias is getting some time at shortstop because Red Sox shortstop Stephen Drew was hit by a pitch back on March 7th in a spring training game and experienced a concussion. He has not played in a game since then. He actually flew up to Pittsburgh to an expert in concussions in Pittsburgh, and they did clear him finally last week to resume baseball activities, but the Red Sox are remaining cautious with him. He did not hit in batting cages until Thursday and actually took live BP today before the game. Just to tell you how cautious they are being, though, he was speaking with pitching coach Juan Nieves after batting practice, and he kept his back to him the whole time, Juan Nieves did, and was protecting Drew from any balls coming near him because they do not want him re-injured.
Well, certainly a different time now in Major League Baseball and really all sports when it comes to concussions. And now in Major League Baseball, you got to go through a series of tests through Major League Baseball just to get cleared to even get back onto the field for baseball activities. And that's the case with Stephen Drew, who was cleared, and Stephen Drew this morning and taking batting practice, Jamie mentioned, and back to baseball activities once again, and a very good sign for the Red Sox. And Drew, who had been having a good spring training, and at the time when he was hitting the bill of the helmet in a game against the Twins at Hammond Stadium, it seemed like it was not a big deal. He ran down to first base, and it wasn't until later that night when he was trying to read that stuff started jumping around on him a little bit. This is out of the reach of Alvarez at third base, backed up by the shortstop Barmes. And it's a base hit for Jacoby Ellsbury, who's 2 for 2 on the day.
Jacoby could not have thrown that ball out better than that. I mean, that ball's just sliced over the head of Alvarez at third base. Alvarez playing in tight, respecting the speed of Ellsbury, and just a little flare that's going to get up over the glove.
You know, the little guys, I've always thought they've had such a great advantage. When you have that threat to bunt, you play it in, you got more bigger hole on the left side, and you get the little flares. You get the leg hits.
You know what's interesting about Ellsbury is we see a lot of that in the American League. We see a lot of third basemen playing in tight on him, and he doesn't really bunt that much.
Yeah. And today's game, with the amount of data that these guys have, it's really amazing that, you know, I remember Marquise Grissom, the outfielder for Montreal for such a long period of time. Everybody played him in. He never bunted, and yet today there's no excuse, I don't think, in terms of with the information. And you mentioned with Tortorella the shifts and everything that goes on now, and they know what every one of these guys does, not only as far as their past at bats, but what the counts and on the breaking pitches or the fastballs, and it's pretty amazing the amount. At times, I think maybe too much information out there for these guys. I don't know. As far as the coaching in the big leagues nowadays has to be a lot more difficult than it's been in the past.
A lot of time put in watching video and going over all the information that comes down to them from the front office, a lot of it. And yeah, you're right. Coaching is quite a bit different today than it was in the past.
I want to ask you that, John, because you think about it. Is it almost too much information now for guys, what you take into a game with you?
Well, on the coaching side of it, I don't think they'll ever feel like they're prepared enough, and they're going to use all that information. As a player, yeah, I think you can get jammed up with too much information, especially as a hitter, and perhaps maybe as a pitcher. As a pitcher, I'm guessing, not being a pitcher, that you give them too many weaknesses, then you start pitching against your strengths. And as a hitter, you don't want to be cluttered up there. You don't want to be thinking too much in the batter's box. I'm sure you might want to know some tendencies in certain counts or what have you, but you don't want to be overthinking. I think that's what makes hitting tough, is typically hitters think.
Well, Nesson and Root Sports sharing today's broadcast from JetBlue Park at Fenway South. Don Orsillo, Greg Brown, John Wayner, and Jerry Remy with you today from the booth. And Greg Brown will be coming up in innings 3 and 4 coming up here in the next couple as we look at a beautiful afternoon today on the warm side from JetBlue Park at Fenway South. And as you might imagine, another sellout crowd here today, and crowds have been terrific all spring for the Red Sox as Victorino sprays one foul down the right field line. Well, Shane Victorino up. Our next tweet: did you think that the WBC gives players more of an edge or sets back a team's progress going into the season?
I think it depends on how much you play in the WBC. Victorino really didn't get a lot of playing time, did he?
11 at-bats during the WBC.
Yeah, so I probably would have got more than that had he been able to stay with the Red Sox. But they want to play so badly for their country that, and he still had plenty of time when he gets back here to get enough at-bats going into the season.
He's a little pop-up on the infield. Down from first comes Jones. Infield fly rule in effect as he makes the catch for the second out of the inning.
Yeah, I know our new closer, Jason Grilli, playing for Team Italy, I think got one appearance. And I guess you can throw on the side or whatever, but I think it probably hurts pitchers more so. As far as the team, the Pirates, the Red Sox having players in WBC, I don't know how much that affects them, other than the fact that guys might not get enough reps.
There's Dustin Pedroia with 2 down in the inning, with Iglesias at second base, Ellsbury at first, and Pedroia's second at bat of the day bounced to short in the first inning. There's so much is talked about when is the right time to have the WBC. Great tournament, great thought, but should it be spring training? If it isn't spring training, where would it fit better?
Yeah, I don't think you can do it any other time than spring training.
What's in there for a strike to Pedroia? And you're talking about the pitching too. Because like Jerry, for guys to get, at that stage of spring training, you're not ready really to get it full bore going, and they have to in that style of competition.
I would be scared to death if I was a manager and I had a pitcher going to the WBC. I really would be, because there it's high level competition.
Yes.
And it's not like the spring training game where you're working on getting your pitches in and getting your innings in. It's a little bit different. It's under the heat of the battle, and I would be scared to death if I had pitchers in the WBC.
And even the position players, Hanley Ramirez injured, David Wright injured. I mean, you get some issues to begin the season for their regular teams.
And as far as a position player, I think they're just as likely to get hurt in a spring training game here. But you make a great point. Pitchers, it's ramped up. There's a different level of intensity.
It was a grounder to shortstop. Barmes to the backhand will go to second for the force out that ends the inning. The Red Sox get 2 and take the lead. Greg Brown will be here when we come back to JetBlue Park.
Welcome back. Boston leads Pittsburgh 2-1, top of the third inning. This is really not a horse race. This is such a long spring training. Greg Brown now alongside John Wehner and Jerry Remy as we are working together, Nesson and Root Sports. This is a real treat. I know Don just told me how much he enjoyed the first 2 innings, but I warn both of you, I guess maybe in a good sense, when I work games, Jerry and John knows this, it's well over 3 hours. So just sit back and enjoy.
I think all of the Boston games are typically over 3 hours, aren't they?
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah, we'll take a 3-hour game.
Oh, is that right?
We'll take a 3-hour game.
And here you've been complaining.
Yeah. They're looking at me like, so what's wrong with 3-hour games? Ready to go as Jeff Locke steps in against Clay Buchholz, and a 2-1 Boston lead. course, one of the unusual parts of spring training these days, if a National League club wants to use let their pitcher hit, they can. Of course, the Red Sox employ the DH. But Jerry, I don't know if you saw, John and I have talked about this a couple weeks ago. Kirk Gibson did not allow Dusty Baker to use the DH. He wanted to, let some of his position players get some at-bats. He said, no, we're playing a National League game here.
Little gamesmanship going on, huh? We saw the same thing here happen the other night. We had the Phillies in town, and Cole Hamels got a couple of at-bats in that game for the Phillies. So smart. I mean, this is the way to do it. I mean, they play that way during the season. Why not get a few at-bats right now?
1 ball, 2 strike count on Jeff Locke.
Yeah, that's one of the craziest things I've ever heard, though, to not allow another
spring
team.
Training game.
And so we're trying to figure out what kind of rules there are there. I mean, do managers typically call ahead of time saying, hey, we're going to use a DH?
Lined out toward left, and that'll drop fair. Jeff Locke with a base hit. Now, early in spring training, most National League managers, including Clint Hurdle, use the DH. They wait toward the latter half of spring before they let their pitcher start to hit, get a feel for it. Jeff Locke will get a double out of that.
See, here's a case where I'd let him use a courtesy runner if I was the manager of the Red Sox.
Why not?
Why have the pitcher out there running and maybe get hurt, right?
That's not a bad idea.
Gets his at bat, he gets a double, and take him out, let somebody run for him.
For that matter, I think that the idea of getting the pitcher into the game is in the hopes of getting him in a bunt situation. I mean, that's something you can't simulate down here, and so obviously no need for him to be running the bases.
Starling Marte doubled his first time, so Jeff Locke gets the double to start the 3rd inning. Buchholz gave up a leadoff home run to Garrett Jones in the 2nd. Now, what do you think about the Red Sox rotation this year, Jerry?
Well, it's been very strong, in spring training, which of course means nothing. But the fact is that I think it's going to be an improved rotation under John Farrell. I think that Buchholz is ready to, have a big year for Boston. I think John Lester's ready to get back on track to where he was a year or so ago. We got Ryan Dempster now that's in the lineup for the Red Sox in the top 5. Felix Dubrani, young pitcher. I think. I think this club's going to go as far as the pitching takes them, which is the story with most clubs. But it's not going to be like a lot of Red Sox teams where it just pound the baseball, score as many runs as you possibly can, and hope you win games. I think it really depends this year on the quality of the starting pitching, and it's been very good this spring.
A 2-1 count. Marte swings and misses. That'll lead us to our next tweet that we got. Ask the Pros, hashtag Ask the Pros, and this one for John and Jerry. What players have impressed you guys the most for your teams? John, let's start with you.
Well, this guy at the plate, I say this with hesitation because I don't want to, have these lofty expectations or the fans in Pittsburgh to have these expectations. I see a young Vlad Guerrero at the plate right now, and we got to see him, for much of the second half last year, but same body type. He stretches the zone a little bit. I don't know if he's as good a bad ball hitter as Vlad was, but he has the pop, he has the speed, he has the arm. A lot of comparisons, and so he's been impressive. Again, having another good spring like he did a year ago. You just hope he stays healthy and comes close to that potential.
Jerry, how about from the Red Sox perspective?
Well, for me, Mike Napoli has been a pleasant surprise moving from catcher to first base for the Red Sox. He's done a very, very good job at first base. I don't want to jinx him right now, but the fact he's had a very good spring over there, and he's made that transition very nicely from behind the plate to first base. And another young player, Jackie Bradley Jr., one of the top prospects in the Red Sox organization. Also a guy that has impressed me this spring. We don't know whether he's going to make the club or not. Probably go to start the year in AAA, but is going to be a bona fide, very good big league player.
And now rolled to the right side. And they're the guy that we're talking about, Jerry Remy.
Yeah, I'm glad he caught
Napoli.
I'm glad he caught it.
Didn't jinx him.
Gabby Sanchez, another player for me that's looked great. I think a lot better than he did a year ago. And just in terms of the bat speed, the short, quick swing, the power he's showed so far this spring has been impressive.
Neil Walker popped up his first time.
And we talked about it yesterday, Greg, on the website. That, the young guys, the guys you hear about so much. I think it's always fun to see them get a couple of at bats and see what so many people have talked about in terms of their prospect status.
That, I guess, is one of the positives, John and Jerry, about this long spring training, is we are getting a chance to see a lot of the minor leaguers.
Way too many.
Apologies to those guys, but yeah, way too many maybe.
We'll see a ton of them before this game's over, that's for sure.
You betcha. You're not a big fan of the long spring, are you, Jerry?
I tell you, this has been incredible. It seems like we've been down here for a couple of months, and it's been close to a couple of months in spring training, and I think everybody is ready to break camp and get the season started.
Wait, how wary are you of the AL East? I mean, you guys look like, you've always had, it was always the Red Sox and the Yankees and the Rays, but now Baltimore with what they did last year, Toronto and the moves they've made. What a division.
It's going to be a very tough division. It really is. And it's so hard to predict. Everybody's expecting Toronto to make that jump in the first place because of all the moves they made. And then it's tough. The rest of the pack is kind of bunched together. It really is a difficult division to pick right now. And I guess whoever stays the healthiest is going to have a chance to win this thing. Boston's going to start out, as we mentioned, with a couple of guys on the disabled list, big guys, David Ortiz, of course, and Drew the shortstop. So if they can survive that early in the season, then the offense will certainly improve as time goes on.
Sox open up with the Yankees, who are beating up themselves. And they got plenty of injuries.
Now there's 3 4.5-hour games right there, right out of the chute.
Yeah.
Pirates open up with the Cubs on April the 1st. Now 3-1. Neil Walker. Clay Buchholz came in with a sparkling ERA under 1. As Jerry Remy just said, so important for the Red Sox. If they're going to turn things around, it's going to start on that mound, much like with the Pirates, really. (3-1) and now a full count.
Well, safe to assume Buchholz maturing, and again, pretty healthy year last year. After really the rookie year, the no-hitter, you expected kind of high expectations for a guy like that.
He's really got great stuff. He does. He has a tremendous two-seam fastball that he can throw inside on lefties, pick up that inside corner. Good curveball, very good changeup. He's got all the pitches. And it's a question of staying healthy and being able to stay out there for his amount of starts during the course of the season.
And he strikes out Neil Walker. We're going to talk to Pirates hitting coach Jay Bell coming up the bottom half of inning number 3 here. Fort Myers, 2-1 Sox. 2-1 Boston here at Fort Myers. Greg Brown, John Wayner, Jerry Remy with you. And now we're joined by the new hitting coach of the Buccos, former Pirates shortstop Jay Bell. Jay, we're just talking about some of the guys that have been impressive this spring, mainly Starling Marte, also talking about Gabby Sanchez. What do you see of Starling Marte?
Well, I tell you what, Greg, he's one of the best athletes I've seen. He's got a lot of ability. He's young. One of the things that is a little frustrating at times is the fact that he's so good that he likes to do things a particular way, and I feel like I can help him a little bit more than he's already as good as he already is. I feel like he could be that much better, but you know what, it's fun to watch. He is a phenomenal athlete.
Do you have to be careful in terms of the plate discipline? You hear so much. He's batting leadoff. He swings a lot. He doesn't draw a lot of walks. Is that something you just kind of hope that he'll mature a little bit, or is that something you pay attention to?
Absolutely. It's something that you definitely want to make sure that you keep track of. You want him to be. He's going to be in our leadoff spot, so there's going to be some baseball situations where he's got to learn. He's got to be a leadoff guy, but you don't want to take away too much of his aggressiveness. He's got an ability to drive the ball out of the ballpark, a lot like Ricky Henderson. I'm not comparing him to that, but that's the type of player that he reminds me of, and hopefully it'll be a situation where he will mature into that role.
What's your general sense, Jay, about this offense? What it will be like?
Oh, shoot, Greg, it's tough to say right now. I think that, whenever you look at a guy like Gabby Sanchez, you look at a guy like Garrett Jones and Pedro Alvarez, as well as Marte and McCutcheon and Snyder, and even on occasion Russell Martin. I mean, we've got some guys that have some power. One of the things that I want to make sure that they do on a regular basis is they are very, very productive players. That's the main thing. I don't care if 28 home runs is great, but I'll take 20 with about 20 extra RBIs too. That'd be great.
Any concerns? Garrett Jones hit his first home run earlier in the game, leading off the second, but none yet for Pedro, none yet for Snyder or Martin. You hear it all. Oh, it's early. Well, as far as spring training is concerned, it's getting a little late.
No, absolutely, and that is certainly one of the things you want them to start clicking as soon as they possibly can. But I think there's some good things. Snyder's been in a real good place the last 4 or 5 days. He swung the bat real well. Presley swung the bat real well. Pedro, he's that's one of the things that we talked about. There are things that are good about what he's accomplishing. He's trying to just kind of feel his way through it, and hopefully one of these days that he'll have a great spring training. But you know what, it doesn't really count in spring training as much as you want him to really start swinging. I want him to swing April 1st and then on through the season.
Talking to Jay Bell, Pirates hitting coach. 2-1 Boston leading it, and as Will Middlebrooks drives one deep toward the wall, and Marte leaps, and this is off the top of the wall. And into third base goes Middlebrooks. A one-out triple. Jay, we just saw Mike Napoli ground out. I'm going to ask you if you knew what you had in common with the now Boston Red Sox first baseman.
I don't. Other than he's a pretty good-looking guy, but other than that, I don't know.
You, along with Starling Marte of the Pirates, of course, Daniel Nava. Now you're shaking your head. Right?
I do know. He's a first-pitch home run guy, I guess.
How about that?
That is pretty amazing. You know what? I haven't mentioned that to Starling. I read that last year in the notes that Jim wrote, and that's a really neat thing. I tell you what, and Jerry, you would. You can appreciate this. My career went way downhill after my first at bat in the big league. So it was a cool thing. It was a neat thing to accomplish. But you realize after you strike out the next 2 at bats that it doesn't come that easy.
Jay, this is Jerry Remy, and I remember a long time ago seeing you play in the Eastern League.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
I was a coach at New Britain, and you were a young playing coming up to the big AA, and then had a great career after that. And it's been a long time.
It has. I tell you what, that's one of the things too, Jerry. I remember those days. Those were great days, and a lot of playing in Waterbury and having that connection and rivalry right there with New Britain. There, y'all had some great players players that Dana Elmore and got a lot of guys like that, guys that are obscure names. Bostonians know who they are, but really neat guys. Dallas Burke was there, and it has been a long time.
0-2 count on Jared Saltalamacchia with a runner at third, the Pirate infield in. Talking with Jay Bell, talking about the minor league days and what the last week of spring training is like, Jay. We've been talking to Jerry Remy and John Wehner about that, too. For a guy that's established, it's one thing, but for a guy that's on the bubble, it's quite something different, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a little more pressure at this time of year for some of the younger guys that are trying to make clubs, and certainly you want to see how they respond to that, because whenever you have a situation, it is pressure. It is pressure during that period of time, but there's going to be pressure during the season too. So, even though it is a pressure-packed week for some of the guys that are on the bubble, it prepares them for the regular season if they happen to make it.
For Jay, for you, for a new hitting coach, is it difficult because even though we've kind of joked about how long a spring training this is, maybe for a hitting coach it's not so long because you're trying to establish a relationship with these guys?
Yeah, for me it's been great because I've had that extra week to spend time with the guys, and plus with Johnny Mack coming over a couple days ago, it gets me refamiliar, or allows me to refamiliarize myself with him, and it has been a great time. I've really enjoyed the guys. I've enjoyed the relationships that I've built so far. I tell you what, Jeff Branson has been a great guy to have with me, and because he's had relationships with a lot of these guys, and so the two of us together should have a pretty good handle on these guys coming out of spring training, and hopefully they'll apply what we've talked to them about during the course of the year.
Jared Saltalamacchia, the RBI to bring in Will Middlebrooks and give the Bo Sox a 3-1 lead against Jeff Locke of the Bucks here in the bottom of the third inning. And Johnny Gomes at the plate at a soft liner to Neil Walker at second, his first time up.
Jay, have you got everybody's routines down yet?
Yeah, pretty much, Rock. It's been really enjoyable to get to know them and see what they like. One of the things I'm real big about is a tee routine. It allows them to think about their mechanics solely whenever they're in the cages. They don't have to worry about timing. It's sitting there on the tee. They can feel their setup. They can feel their swing path and all that kind of stuff. So most of the guys have really bought into that, and they've applied it. The reason I did it was that I've tried to implement it is the fact that not only did I use it in my career, but I watched guys like Tony Gwynn utilize that, and it allows them to maintain to stay familiar with their stance and their swing and all that kind of stuff, and hopefully that'll be something that they continue to do throughout the course of the season. They're going to get plenty of swings in BP and that kind of stuff, but that's really not where you worry about your mechanics. You worry about timing and trying to hit a specific spot on the baseball at that period of time and then into the game. But what I want them to do is I want them to work on their mechanics so much early on in the day, where whenever it becomes game time, they don't have to think about it at all.
3-2 count on Gomes. Fly ball that Presley will gather in. Jay Bell, new hitting coach of the Bucks. He and John Wehner were teammates back in the early 90s, and Red Sox fans maybe not familiar with the fact that John Wehner's nickname Rock. But maybe, Jay, can you fill us in? I guess I've known John as Rock forever. Any idea how that came about?
I got a pretty good idea, I guess, but I'm not really sure. Do you remember Rock? I don't.
It's not because of Rockhead, and I know that's what you're thinking.
Well, you're putting words in my mouth.
But I know that's what you were thinking. But actually, that came from back in A-ball. Moises Salou, Trent Jewett, the third base coach for the Nats. They started it. Rockjaw. It started as Rockjaw.
There you go. I like it.
Hey, Jay, thanks for being with us.
Okay, fellas. Thanks so much. We'll see y'all.
Jay Bell, new hitting coach of the Bucks. Pirates will come to bat in the fourth here in Fort Myers.
Welcome back to JetBlue Park at Fenway South. Red Sox take a 3-1 lead after Will Middlebrook scored in the bottom of the third. And when a Red Sox player scores, they got to change the scoreboard out in the outfield. The scorekeeper comes out to the original green monster. It is the original scoreboard. So he comes out, changes the number manually. He doesn't have the luxury like he does at the Fenway up north to change it from inside the green monster. So he comes out, flips that number himself. When it's the home team, doesn't need a ladder. But when it's the away team, he needs that ladder. That is old school, baby.
Boy, that it is. Thank you, Jamie. Jamie Erdahl, Robbie Ince-Mikowski, Nesson and Root Sports, respectively. And we're here joined together, collaborating this effort here today between the Pirates and the Red Sox. Nesson and Root Sports. Greg Brown, John Wayner, Jerry Remy, and Don Orsillo. 1 ball, 1 strike to count on Pedro Alvarez. Alvarez flied to left in the first.
Well, Jerry, I'm assuming you were an American League guy. Other than perhaps spring training, didn't see much of Willie Stargell.
No, not really. No, not at all. And back in those days, of course, no interleague play, none of that. It was all-star games or World Series and stuff like that. So
the reason I ask is there's been a lot of comparisons to Pedro Alvarez to Willie Stargell for the raw power. And this guy, you get a look at him during batting practice, especially in the stadiums where you can see where it lands. It lands pretty far away. Pretty impressive power to all fields. When he gets locked in, it's something to see. He literally is probably like a big poppy. You know, when Ortiz is hot and how he can change the game around with one swing. This is what this guy brings. If he could do it more consistently, he'll be known, from coast to coast, because it's pretty impressive.
Now that's the big thing, consistency at the major league level. There's a lot of players that have a ton of talent, but a lot of them just can't put it together consistently, and they just become so-so players. But those guys that can then do it day in and day out and put together 3, 4, 5, 6 good years in a row, you're looking at a guy right here that could do that.
18 home runs in day games last year for Pedro Alvarez.
He likes day games.
Yeah.
Not too many players like day games.
And Alvarez is going to lead off with a base hit. Big man swinging a big bat. That leads us to our next tweet. And you can ask Jerry or John a question. Hashtag Ask the Pros. This one regarding the bat. Weight of the bat make a big difference. Should some players use lighter bats to increase bat speed?
I think players today are using lighter bats than they did in the past. I think that a lot of guys are using lighter bats and thinner handles than in the past, and to create that bat speed. And I think that's one of the reasons we see a lot of cracked bats in the game today. A lot of the handles are so thin and the bats are so light that to generate more bat speed. I think that's one of the reasons we see so many cracked bats.
I'm going to assume that in your day, it seemed that guys used heavier bats. What size bat did you use?
I was like a 34, 32, and then 34, 31 at the end of the season when I got tired. But, that a lot of guys today are using 31 ounces, 30 ounces. And that's to get that good bat speed. And
when we saw, especially the maple bats flying through the air with regularity, that's what you saw, the thinner bats. But I was pretty much right there as well, 34, 32. There were times where I went to a longer bat, went to 34 and a half or a shorter bat. I did everything I could to try to get the ball to hit the barrel. It didn't always work. But I went when I went to 34 and a half, I took a half ounce off the weight. Yeah. If I went down to 33 and a half, I added a half ounce, but I was pretty much 34, 32. But so that's pretty similar there. These guys, like I said, I've actually grabbed one of Garrett Jones's bat earlier this spring, and he's got a big one. He has a heavier bat. I grabbed another. I don't know. It didn't have a name on it. It was a lot lighter. But some of the bigger guys you hear, Ryan Howard with Philly, uses a pretty big bat. Practices with it takes BP with like a 40-ounce bat.
40-ounce bat, yeah.
But I'm thinking some of the guys you played with, big power hitters. Did you have any guys with the?
Yeah, Jim Rice, Kyle Yastrzemski, all used big barrel bats.
Heavier?
Yes.
Ellsbury there, 1 out.
See, I used the heavier bats when I hit my 7 career home runs. So Other than that, I slipped down to the 31 ounce, you know. But all 7 were hit with the
heavier
32 ounce. Yeah.
You know who used one of the biggest bats I've ever seen, or I've ever played with, at least? Bob Watt.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. He used the 35-35, believe it or not.
35-35?
K55, yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And there wasn't a fastball he thought that he couldn't turn around. He used to foul balls off behind him.
Russell Martin at the plate. Jerry Remy, very familiar, of course, to Red Sox fans. President of Red Sox Nation. Red Sox Hall of Famer. Great years as a player and longtime broadcaster. 10 years in the big leagues with the Angels, most with Boston. 1,226 big league hits, inducted in the Red Sox Hall of Fame in 2006 and an All-Star in 1987.
I think that was 1978. 87, I was 1 year removed from being in the booth.
Flip-flopped them. Huh?
78.
87
yeah.
Would have been nice.
Yeah. 87, yeah, that would have been a big paycheck.
And now Martin drives one deep. How about Russell Martin? What did you see of him for a couple of years as a Yankee catcher, Jerry?
You know, coming over from the National League, we didn't know very much about him. Just looked like a guy that goes out and plays his tail off every single day, plays the game hard. Had some clutch hit for the Yankees last year. You see that he wears his emotions on his sleeves. You know, impressed by him. I'm impressed by him when he was in a Yankee uniform. Did a good job defensively behind the plate, I thought, and I think the Pirates have something here that's going to help their offense and probably their pitching staff.
Travis Snyder struck out his first time against Clay Buchholz. Russell Martin signed to the 2-year free agent contract by the Bucs over the winter. Several years with the Dodgers and the previous 2 with the Yankees.
Likes to play all the time.
Well, you love to hear that, don't you?
Oh, yeah. You're talking to Jay Bell about New Britain. Were you coaching in New Britain?
Yes, I coached for 1 year in New Britain, and we had some pretty good guys down there. A lot of guys that made it to the big leagues, and I remember Jay being a very young shortstop at that time. But you could see that there was no question he was going to be a quality major league player, and turned into be a great major league player. So yeah, I was fortunate enough to see him right way at the beginning of his professional career.
Now, what have we here, Jerry? Somebody just handed you 2 tickets. Does this happen all game long here?
This happens quite a bit, yes.
And they assume they don't ask you to sign it. You hear 2 tickets, and you know you got to sign it.
Yeah, you sign it, yeah. Disadvantage of having the booth close to the fans. This guy's been handing me stuff all day. I think he's making money on it. He's collecting from other people.
That same guy.
Yeah.
Snap throw to first.
So that was old Beehive Stadium in New Britain, right?
Beehive Stadium, yeah. It used to be a big ballpark.
I was going to say, did the ball ever get out of that ballpark?
No.
I played there in 1990, and that's the last year Jeff Bagwell was in the Red Sox organization, and I'm pretty certain he didn't hit a single ball out of that ballpark.
Wow. Yeah, it was a big ballpark, but you know, it was a good place to learn the smaller things about the game. You know, the fundamentals of the game, how to move guys over, hit and run, steal bases, because you had to play that kind of a game in that ballpark. You couldn't rely on the long ball.
2-2 count on Snyder. Alvarez still at first with 2 outs now. Buchholz giving up the 1 run on 4 hits. That run coming on a Garrett Jones homer. And 3-2. Should Snyder reach, Barmes would bat. Winding down spring training 2013. After today, Pirates have 5 left. Boston 6 remaining after this one.
We're going up your way tomorrow to play the Clearwater. Play the Phillies up in Clearwater. We'll drive right by Bradenton sometime early tomorrow morning.
That's a long trip.
That's a jaunt, huh? That's about 3 hours, isn't it?
I hope not.
I hope not.
If it is, we're going to be late because we're not leaving till.
Well, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Still 3-2.
I assume you guys are going. You guys are opening at home?
No, we open up at Yankee Stadium against the Yankees for 3, go to Toronto for 3, then back home.
Another foul ball. Travis Snyder, American leaguer with Toronto. He's seen Boston previously.
You remember anything about Travis Snyder?
Very little. You know, played up at the Toronto Blue Jays, and not an everyday player with the Blue Jays. And got to see a little bit of him, but not enough to make a determination on, you know, make a prediction on what he can provide you at ball club. John Farrell would know, our manager. Maybe we could ask him.
Yeah. In the air to left. And Gomes makes the catch. We'll hear more from Robbie Ince-Mikowski when we come back.
Welcome back to beautiful Fort Myers, Florida here. Pirates and Red Sox with the Red Sox leading. I'm Robbie Ince-Mikowski. Jeff Locke on the mound today for the Pirates. He's one of the final candidates for that 5th spot in the starting rotation for the Pirates when they break spring training. But the presumed 4th starter is going to take the ball tomorrow when the Orioles and Pirates face off back in Bradenton. And that is Jeff Carson. He's going to make his first big league start of spring training. The expectation for him is between 65 and 75 pitches. And provided there are no hiccups, he is on track to make his first scheduled start of the season. That won't take place till the Pirates' second series at L.A. against the Dodgers. So we'll see how things shake out, guys, with regard to Jeff Carson and how it goes tomorrow. But he has been building up his stamina and building up his strength here, pitching these minor league games. Hopefully things go well, and he does make his first start of the season as scheduled.
Thank you, Robbie. Here at JetBlue Park, Fenway South, there's pitching coach Ray Searage. Pirates don't need that 5th starter until the 7th, as Robbie mentioned. That first road series in L.A. against the Dodgers. Pirates have an off day following their opener April the 1st. They've got the off day on the 2nd, and then 2 more with the Cubs. So trying to sort all that out. A 5-man rotation, a couple of spots left in the bullpen, and a bench player or 2. So a very important start for Jeff Locke today. Dribbled foul by Jose Iglesias. So opening day for the Pirates against the Cubs. It'll be the Bo Sox and Yankees at Yankee Stadium. And speaking of that, our next tweet. And again, you can ask Jerry or John a question. Hashtag Ask the Pros. How does starting the season against all the division teams change the mindset and attitude going into a season? Any difference at all, Jerry?
I don't think so, no. I think that what guys are trying to do is just get off to a good start collectively as a team, individually, get some hits under their belt, to get, field some ground balls and get a couple of wins early. I don't think it makes any difference whether it's a divisional game or not.
Barehanded by Alvarez, and he will get Iglesias. John, Feel the same way?
Yeah, I'm with you. There's so much build up and talk about strength of schedule. Or we heard it last year early on. We had a real tough schedule, a lot of tough teams the first 30, 40 games, and all that's going to determine the type of year you're going to have, we heard. And, we played around 500. And, later in the year, after we were 16 games over 500, had a real soft schedule. So it was, they should make some hay here. And we struggled. So, as you know, Jerry, any given day, anybody can beat anybody, whether it's a division rival or not. Obviously, I think it's a little more intense when the Red Sox and the Yankees are playing. But, it's just another game. And you go that day and try to pick up a win.
Garrett Jones calls off everybody. It might be the strangest of all. The Reds open up against the Angels.
Yeah,
well, that's weird.
In a league game to start off.
Not only a non-division team, a non-league team. Yeah.
We're going to see a lot of that this year, aren't we?
Yep. Shane Victorino comes up with 2 outs and nobody on.
Safe to assume you've been to all the ballparks in the National League?
I don't think I've been to all of them yet. No, I have not been to the Mets ballpark. We had an exhibition game there a couple of years ago, but I have not been there yet.
Have you been to New Marlins Park in
Miami?
Yes,
we went there last year. Very colorful place.
Oh.
Yeah, interesting.
Of course, here a model of Fenway. JetBlue Park at Fenway South. Rolled to Barmes. A nice clean inning for Jeff Locke. 1, 2, 3. We'll head to the 5th. Sox up 3-1.
Extreme quality, choice, and value at Bob's Discount Furniture. In-store and online at mybobs.com. Sox fans, subscribe to MLB.TV Premium today and watch over 150 select live spring training games. Plus, every regular season game is live or on demand on over 250 mobile and connected devices. Visit RedSox.com for details.
It is a beautiful day here on the sun coast of Florida, down in Fort Myers, a little south of where the Pirates train in Bradenton. Pirates used to train in this town. Boy, they're fired up about the Gulf Coast Florida basketball team last night. How about a big upset?
I have to assume that the Big East is a little overrated. Those teams, so many teams going down.
Yeah, they are all excited down here in Southwest Florida about their ball club. They're doing a very good job. They usually have a very good girls basketball program over there too, but this year it's the men that have taken over.
Buchholz faces Barmes now. Buchholz has allowed 4 hits. He got Barmes to ground out to short in the second. He's given up doubles to Starling Marte. The man on deck, his mound opponent, Jeff Locke. A single to Alvarez and the home run to Garrett Jones. Oh, 0-2 on Barmes.
That's the good changeup there from Clay Buchholz, one of the best changeups in the American League. He'll throw both a changeup and a split-fingered fastball.
To both righties and lefties, huh?
Yes.
Well, that's a weapon. And I think that's probably the most frustrating thing for a right-handed batter when you face a tough right-handed pitcher, and then he mixes in that changeup to you.
Let's go back down to Robbie Inns-Mikowski. Robbie?
Well, guys, if you know a little bit about your baseball history, you might know who Tommy John was. The younger generation may think he's just a guy who had a surgery named after him, but the guy who originated that surgery, Dr. Frank Jobe, is going to be honored at Hall of Fame weekend, July 27th, and a number of people have undergone Tommy John surgery. There are a couple members of the Pittsburgh Pirates, also a couple members of the Boston Red Sox, actually quite a few on the Red Sox that have had it. Frank Jobe is currently a special assistant to the chairman of the Los Angeles Dodgers, and when he performed the original surgery on Tommy John back in 1974, he gave him a 1 in 100% chance of playing baseball ever again. And look at how it's revolutionized the game of baseball. Of course, it's revolutionized medicine as we know it and surgery, but still a well-earned honor for Dr. Frank Jobe. He's going to be honored by the Hall of Fame in July.
How about that? He is an important man to the history of this game now.
The guys that used to be out of the game because of that injury come back now at times stronger than they were before.
Pirates have a couple guys rehabbing back, Charlie Morton and newly acquired Jose Contreras. As a minor leaguer, Oscar Tejeda bats for Jeff Locke. So Jeff Locke goes 4 innings. He gives up 3 runs, 2 earned on 7 hits. What would you say, guys? Give us a interesting perspective here from you, John, on Jeff Locke, and then Jerry as an opponent. What do you think, John, of Jeff Locke's performance today?
Well, I think the fastball was up a little bit. Like his last outing, a lot of hits allowed, no strikeouts. Not his best stuff, not his best outing. I don't know how much it hurt or helped his chances as far as making the club. I just know that, I'm sure he wanted to come out and impress and perhaps dominate to try to solidify that spot in the rotation, and just came up a bit short.
Yeah, it's very similar to what I saw last time that we faced Locke here in Fort Myers, and you see a pretty good curveball right there from Buchholz to pick up the strikeout. But for a game that you're trying to win a spot in the rotation on, I'm not sure that the stuff was there enough to impress the pitching coach or the manager today.
Didn't really wow you.
No.
Really, yeah. Strike called on Starling Marte, who has doubled and struck out. Buchholz has fanned 5. What a different feel to the camp, I imagine, this year, Jerry. Boston's, huh?
Totally different feeling. Much more relaxed than a year ago.
Marte, a fly ball to right. Victorino. And 1, 2, 3 for Clay Buchholz. Red Sox will come to bat in the bottom of the 5th inning. Halfway through it, Sox lead 3-1. JetBlue Park, Fenway South, Fort Myers, Florida. Boston leading Pittsburgh 3-1. Heading to the bottom half of the 5th inning. Former Red Sox pitcher Mark Melancon came over in the Joel Hanrahan deal. He's had a good spring, Jerry Remy, and I think you and I talked when we were here last that you said Melancon just got off to such a tough early start. It was really hard for him to come back from it.
I think a lot of pressure on him, early, and he didn't get off to the kind of start that he would have liked to, or the Red Sox would have liked to have had him get off to, and eventually spent some time in the minor leagues and came back up and pitched well, fairly well for the Red Sox. I really think Melancon, I think that, he could be a big help to your bullpen because he's got good stuff, and you saw him in the National League, of course, closing games out, but it never really clicked for him here with the Red Sox because he had a tough start.
And kind of like what we were talking about the last half inning, it seems like nobody or nothing clicked last year for the Red Sox.
No, it was a very difficult time right from day one, and you kind of expected it a little bit because Francona had been here for so many years, and players were used to that style, his style of managing, and then Bobby came in, Valentine, and it was a totally different style, and I think the players had a difficult time adjusting to it. And things snowballed. The Red Sox also had a ton of injuries last year. You look at the last month of the half of the season, they're putting out basically a AAA ball club out there, and they were not competitive at all. So the best day of the year was the last day of the year to get the season over with.
I think you look at a guy like John Lester, who to me is one of the best left-handers in the game the previous 5 years. It even affected him to an extent.
It did, and it was interesting because I was talking with John Farrell early in camp, ground out to second base by Pedroia. I was talking to John Farrell early in camp, and I asked him, I said, being on the other side in Toronto, could you see things in Lester that he was doing wrong? He said, absolutely. I could see a major difference in what I remember John Lester as his pitching coach, but of course I can't say anything now. I'm trying to beat him, and so he had some great ideas for him, some reminders as soon as John Farrell took over as manager, and Lester right now is back to the mechanics that he had a couple of years ago.
Along with Jerry Remy, John Wehner, Greg Brown here, Don Orsillo will be stepping in the next half inning. Group effort, Nesson and Root Sports sharing today's game, bringing you the Pirates and the Boston Red Sox.
It's going to be a little different. No Tim Wakefield this year. No Jason Varitek.
It's quite different. Yeah, that last year those guys gone for the first time, and two leaders on the club. Obviously, Varitek, the captain of the ball club, and Tim Wakefield with the respect that he had. I know you played with Wakefield in the minor leagues.
A little bit, yeah. We got drafted the same year. He was a first baseman then, back in Watertown, New York, New York Penn League. In fact, remember the first bus ride to Utica, New York, and sitting next to Tim Wakefield, he was telling me all the records he broke, home runs and whatnot in college. And that night he went out and hit a home run double. I think he drove in all 4 runs. We won 4-3. And unfortunately, I guess fortunately for him, I don't think he made contact the rest of the year. Had a rough go of it after that first game. But boy, I don't know if there's a story quite like it, the turnaround, obviously the next year, and just flipping around and playing with the knuckleball and down in Bradenton. And Woody Heike noticed him throwing the longtime coach down in Bradenton, notices him throwing the knuckleball and asked him if he can control it, and the rest is history.
Yeah, history for sure with Tim Wakefield. What he meant to this Red Sox organization.
Now, Tim Wakefield now is an analyst for us on Nesson in our pre- and post-game show. He does some shows during the season.
Awesome.
Well, we have hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of tweets coming in for Jerry Remy and John Wehner, and another one, and you can ask one as well. We'll try to get to them all. Hashtag Ask the Pros. This one about when these two pros wanted to play baseball. When did you know you wanted to play baseball, John Wehner?
Well, my mom's here in town right now. She's up in Bradenton, probably in the sun. But from the time I can remember, I had Pirate PJs and Pirate gear, and I had 2 older brothers that played ball, and all I wanted to do was be as good as them, try to get into their games, and to be in the big leagues. So for me, it was from the moment I can remember.
Jerry?
Yeah, it's almost the exact same story. For as long as I can remember, I loved baseball, and I did everything I possibly could to play as much as I could. As a kid, you're out there by yourself throwing the ball against the stone wall and, doing different things like that. And it was always the game that I loved the best. And it's the one that I played the most. And fortunately for me, got some time in the big leagues and time in the booth, and it's been my life.
And you grew up a Red Sox fan as well.
I did. I grew up 50 miles south of Fenway Park. So
Jerry Remy grows up a Red Sox fan, becomes a Red Sox player. John Lehner, a Pirates fan, growing up near Pittsburgh, becomes a Pirates player. When did you guys know that it was more than just the enjoyment of the game, that you were going to be able to probably play professionally and maybe, who knows, the big leagues?
Well, I didn't really know. I mean, I was a lot way down the bottom as far as the draft pick goes, and that was out of high school, and I signed with the Angels at the time. And you're so far away from the big leagues, you can't even smell it. Mm-hmm. So, it's just take the progression you take. You spend a couple of years in A-ball, you move up to AA, you have success, you're in AAA. Next thing you know, you find yourself in the big leagues. And but it's a long process, and you look back on it, how lucky you are to have made it through that process, and how many players did not make it through.
Very lucky. For me, wasn't recruited out of high school, didn't play much in college, got drafted pretty much out of a tryout camp, and didn't think I'd make it to the big leagues till the day I got the call. It's remarkable, and it is a long road. And for me, I had a ton of breaks. I had too many breaks to count, and so many people that helped me make those breaks. And it certainly wasn't the conventional path. Coming out of Carrick High School, playing on an all-dirt field, and as bad a ball field you could ever see. So it was. I'm certainly grateful and blessed.
Don Orsillo will rejoin you as the Pirates and the Red Sox play spring training baseball down here at JetBlue Park.
Jordan's is your official Beauty Rest headquarters and official furniture store of the Boston Red Sox. Sox fans, create your own double play ticket package by combining 2 great Red Sox games. Choose one game in April or May and pair that with either opening day or a summer weekend game for double the fun. Tickets are available in a variety of seating locations throughout Fenway Park, so choose your games now at redsox.com/tickets.
Top half of the 6th inning back at JetBlue Park at Fenway South as the Red Sox enjoy a 3-1 lead. Here's how we got here. Home run for Garrett Jones for the Pittsburgh Pirates in the 2nd inning over the center field fence. Red Sox coming back with an RBI from David Ross. This one will get by the right fielder Travis Snyder. Charged with an error, and ending up at third base was Ross, and then Jose Iglesias on a ground ball through the infield replayed Ross. And the Red Sox had a 2-1 advantage. Jared Saltalamacchia able to drive in Will Middlebrooks, who had tripled in front of him to put the Red Sox on top 3-1. Boston with 2 runs in the 2nd, a run in the 3rd, and here we go into inning number 6. And so far, Jerry, today has been another very good outing for Clay Buchholz. He has wrapped up 6 strikeouts so far in the game and has given up just the 1 run. And again, his pace has been quick again today.
It has been. Maybe not as quick as some of the other games that he's worked. And I think he's struggled a little bit more today. But that's a sign of a good pitcher. I don't think he has his best stuff in this game this afternoon, but the fact is he is getting the job done, only giving up the 1 run to this point.
And so far, 4 hits for the Pirates. Juan Nieves, the Red Sox pitching coach, looking on as Alex Presley leads it off here for the Pirates. Middlebrooks chasing in from third base. Presley showed bunt briefly and is ahead 2-0.
Presley, a late addition as of last night. Andrew McCutchen was in the lineup. It was supposed to start out in center field. I guess he's a little under the weather, so Presley added to the lineup, inserted into the left field. Marte moves over to center, but Alex up and down a little bit the last couple of years, fighting for a bench job. Had an opportunity to open in the starting lineup a year ago. Didn't have the best of years, so maybe a spot left on that bench. Looking for a left-handed bat, perhaps, on the Pirates bench, and Alex has a shot.
I want to ask you about a guy that has been picked up by the Pirates as well, and a guy who is a New England native from Connecticut, and that's John McDonald, who spent a long time in the American League defensively. Where does he fit in the plans now?
Yeah, I think he goes right to the middle infield, the backup middle infielder. I think he adds insurance in case of an injury. It's nice to have that veteran guy that's been through it. He's done it. He's done it well, particularly defensively. You always have that question mark. We have some young guys, and I feel bad being a guy that's always trying to make that utility spot, the bench spot out of spring training. Guys like Josh Harrison, Jordy Mercer, a couple of guys in camp that may not have a job now because of John McDonald, but it's just a matter of getting deeper, getting stronger, and I think it's much more comforting knowing what you have in a guy like McDonald that can go in there at shortstop if Marmus is down or struggling or whatever the case may be, and he's going to be more than capable, and to do it at second base as well. I think you feel more comfortable with that veteran guy than you do a younger guy, and so as always, the Pirates are looking to upgrade as every other team is, and to try to get as strong as you can going into the season.
Well, Presley to take the walk. Buchholz a little frustrated as down to first base goes Presley. That is just the first free pass of the day given up by Buchholz.
And what frustrates Buchholz, the fact that he walks the leadoff man with a lead in this game, 6th inning. Red Sox with a 3-1 lead and a free pass to Presley to start it off.
Well, you look, 5 of the 6 innings the leadoff man has gotten on, and he's done a good job of getting around it.
Tough to start that way every inning, but Buchholz has battled today, and here's Neil Walker, who was 0 for 2 on the afternoon. He popped out to third base in the first, struck out swinging in the 3rd inning. We're talking about John McDonald, who has been added to this Pirates team, and John, of course, out of Providence College, a program that no longer exists with baseball in Providence, but certainly a proud organization that at one point Lou Merlone came out of Providence College as well and was with the Red Sox. So John's made a great career really defensively. I mean, he's been outstanding defensively. We've seen him with the Blue Jays and the Indians over the years in the American League, so should be a very good addition to your club.
Well, that's great. Again, a big year for the Pirates. It's been so well documented, the consecutive losing seasons, and we thought we were there last year at the end of July, 16 games over 500, and then to just fall off. It's so frustrating. But again, this team's a year older. We've added a couple veterans to the mix, and we're expecting big things.
Breaking ball and a pop-up that sends Middlebrooks out to the outfield lawn to make the catch for the first out of the inning. Presley had been running, but he gets back to the bag at first with 1 away. I get another question for Ask the Pros today, and then everybody is checked in. What is your most memorable moment when playing the game? And I'll start with you, John.
Pretty easy for me. I was lucky enough on a team sense, lucky enough to be a part of the Florida Marlins '97 team, and so to win a World Series with Jim Leland and the guy that I've been with my entire career was certainly special. And on a personal note, the last game at Career River Stadium was just an unbelievable experience.
I'd have to say, for me, my first big league at bat, just to get to the big leagues and be all of a sudden where you wanted to be your whole life, and get there and get that first at bat under your belt, get a base hit on top of it, and then get picked off first base. But other than that, everything went fine. But that'll be my most memorable moment, that first base hit.
Clay Buchholz's day is over. You get a nice hand here at JetBlue Park at Fenway South as he departs after 4 1/3 innings. It was a battle today, Jerry, as you mentioned, and a lot of leadoff hitters getting on, but able to work out 5 strikeouts in his outing.
Yeah, Buchholz again using all his pitches. We saw a strikeout with a curveball, a fastball, another breaking ball right there from Clay, and the good spring continues. 5 1/3, as you can see, the 1 earned run, 5 strikeouts for him. 56 strikes and 88 pitches for Buchholz. And the only thing that made it a little bit more difficult is you mentioned the fact that he had leadoff men on quite often in this ball game, but was able to work out of trouble. So a positive outing again for Clay Buchholz.
Let me talk about Tommy John surgery in this game. Robbie mentioned it earlier, and Shinichi Tozawa, one of those guys coming off Tommy John surgery and making his 8th appearance of the spring. He's been terrific, 0-1 with a 2.16 ERA, 7 Ks to 1 walk. And Tozawa on the hill here today for the Red Sox, first out of the bullpen. He's held opponents scoreless in 6 of 7 Grapefruit League appearances. And the youngsters certainly enjoying themselves on a warm day here at JetBlue Park at Fenway South. And John, you were talking about Jim Leland and had a chance to spend some time with him last year in the postseason as the Tigers and the Oakland A's met last year. And, of course, the Tigers had a pretty good run. But he seems like, watching him from afar, like an old-school manager who has adapted to today's managing style and how to handle players. Are you surprised that he's still around and still doing as well as he's doing now with today's player?
Not surprised at all, because the way he approaches it, it's simple. 3 rules. Let's see if I can remember them. Be on time was number 1. Play hard. I can't think of the third one. Maybe there was just 2 rules. I'm not sure. But it was pretty simple. But you had so much respect for him. And it's funny when guys come over to the Pirates that have played for Leland, you ask them, how'd you like the skipper? And they all love him. He just relates. He's honest. Nothing. You don't have to wonder where he's thinking or where he's going. He's going to be up front with you in terms of what he expects, and all we want you to do is go out there and play hard, and almost too honest, at times brutally honest with me, at least. I mean, so many stories with him. One of my favorites is spring training after the lockout in '94 going into '95, and I'm just a horrible spring training player. I couldn't get any hits, and I booted every ball hit my way or threw it away. And he came up to me at the beginning of camp, and he said, "Rock, I'm going to tell you something. I'm not going to use you this camp. This is what I want you to do. I'm serious. Go fishing. I'm serious. I'm not going to use you. If the GM sees you, you turn around and go the other way, because if he sees you got no chance of making this club. So go fishing. At the end of camp, you come back, and we'll let you know if you make the team." I went 0 for 8 that camp. And, the other weird story about it was, there was talk about maybe expanding the rosters because they had a shorter spring training, maybe going with 26 guys. Unfortunately, I was always the 26th guy. He calls me in, tells me I don't make the club, and so I said, well, with the whole roster expansion thing, if they would have allowed a 26-man roster, I'm in, right? He goes, shoot, no, you'd have been 27. Get out of it.
The grounder right side. Pedroia to second for 1, back to first, nicely turned, and right there you get a good look at how quickly Jose Iglesias can get rid of a baseball. Nice turn there by the Red Sox, a double play. That wraps up the top of the 6th inning from Pedroia to Iglesias to Napoli. Red Sox on top by 2. 1, Red Sox have the lead as we head to the bottom of the 6th inning as we send it down. Jamie Erdahl.
Down here with today's starter, Clay Buchholz. Clay, after your spring training debut, you made it through 2 innings, and that's when you said you felt strongest in your 2nd inning. Made it through 6 today. How has your progression through spring training gone?
It's a plan. It's just been not really a grind, but coming in every day, a little monotonous and doing the same thing, but that's what it's all about. And just having fun with it and trying to get ready for this season that's coming up, and feel good and feel healthy. So that's the number one thing for me, and and everybody else on the staff looks good as well.
For 3 years, you worked under John Farrell, and now he's back. How has your relationship changed, and what do you enjoy most about having him back?
I don't think it's changed that much at all. It's just he's got to see other guys, the whole team, instead of just the pitchers. But he brings a good baseball mind to the team, and obviously knows the game, is likable with all the players. So that's definitely a good thing for everybody to be working for him and knowing that he's there and he's supporting us and he's got our back every time that we go out there. So it's definitely a good thing.
All right, thank you for your time, Clay. Good luck the rest of the season.
Well, the pitcher in for the Pittsburgh Pirates, it is Tony Watson, who becomes a third arm of the day, used for the Pirates, and last 2 years spending parts of the season with the Pittsburgh Pirates up in the big leagues and out of the bullpen 68 times last year.
Yeah, big guy with a pretty good fastball. I mean, he comes at you. He's done a good job against righties and lefties. It's odd to see a lefty come out of the bullpen that isn't a real flamethrower to throw mostly fastballs.
Well, a little adventure for Travis Snyder, but in the end he gets the job done. A lunge to his right. Ball came back to his right on the pop out by Saltalamacchia.
I think Travis will say this has not been the easiest day he's had out there in right field.
No, and probably the toughest place to play in the outfield is spring training in Florida. With the high sky, the sun, you always have the wind, the breeze going, and so you got to battle the elements. That ball, especially a high pop-up down the line, you got some backspin. It's going to take it towards center field. Then you got the wind blowing that way. So,
but in a result-based business, he did make the catch. There's out number 1 of the inning. And here's Johnny Gomes, who's 0 for 2 today.
Don, do you get paid for the whole game today, or just get?
I wasn't going to bring that up. I think so. I don't know.
But you guys get paid?
Well, I have the first 2 innings, and then I have this inning and next inning. So it's really 4 innings today, Jerry. So I don't know. That's up to you. I mean, it's a decision you'll have to make.
Well, but you don't have the last couple of innings, but don't leave, because we have more work to do after the game.
We do.
So
I won't go anywhere.
Don't take the car anywhere.
No. Well, we are here today along with our friends from Root Sports and the Pittsburgh Pirates, splitting today's telecast out of JetBlue Park at Fenway South. John Wayner and, of course, Greg Brown along with us from the Pirates. The 0-2 pitch, and, of course, Don Orsillo here with Jerry Remy as the Red Sox and Pirates play spring training baseball, Grapefruit League style, from JetBlue Park at Fenway South. And with 1 out in the last half of the 6th inning, Johnny Gomes batting. Jerry, we just heard from Clay Buchholz a couple of moments ago, and Jamie Erdahl talked about John Farrell, and Clay was quick to say that he now has to worry about 25 guys, and it does appear that has really been something John has gotten used to in his 2 years in Toronto, not just worrying about the pitching, and it seems he's done a very good job and kind of backing away from Juan Nieves, who's done a great job so far as a Red Sox pitching coach.
Yeah, I think it takes time. As long as John was a pitching coach, I think probably the first priority when he got up to Toronto was to work on the pitching, and you've got to remember that you got to worry about the rest of the ball club, and I think the 2 years experience that he had up there surely benefits the Red Sox in the fact that he does have the managerial experience now to come back and be able to handle all that. But it's it's tough for a guy who's been a pitching coach for a long time to keep his fingers away from that part of the ball game.
And I would think especially hard having worked with these guys that he's returning to, the Lesters, the Buchholz, and even Lackey to some degree.
Right.
Daniel Bard, who is still trying to iron out the kinks here in spring training, and today John Farrell talking about Daniel Bard and really needing some consistency for him with time running out here in spring training for Bard to kind of figure it out at this stage of the spring.
Didn't sound so encouraging this morning when he was talking about Bard in his meeting with the media. Would not commit to whether he was going to make the ball club or start maybe in AAA to continue to try to get things going on the right track.
David Ross rolls this over to shortstop. Barmas will get it there in plenty of time and wrap up the inning. It's a 1-2-3 6th for Tony Watson of the Pirates. But Barmas at short takes care of the third out. Blue Park at Fenway South with the Red Sox on top 3-1, and a lot of Red Sox Nation enjoying a warm afternoon in Southwest Florida. Nice breeze out there on the monster seats above the monster here, JetBlue style. A little higher here at JetBlue Park than certainly at Fenway Park, and the seating area out there in the middle of the wall here at JetBlue Park. And we play on now to the 7th inning. Junichi Tozawa back on the hill for the Red Sox, and Garrett Jones will get it started, and Tozawa was able to get Pedro Alvarez to ground into a 4-6-3 twin killing that end the 6th inning, and now it is into the 7th. Fly ball to left sends Gomes towards the corner, and the warning track with a late lunge. And he makes the grab out there in left field for the first out of the inning.
Well, we expected the baseball to carry well today in this ballpark, and it certainly has. That ball got pushed back toward that left field wall, and Johnny Gomes had to leap a little bit here to make the catch.
That has to be an advantage for Johnny Gomes, for the Red Sox. Anytime you have a new left fielder, to have a park like this in spring training, so you're not going into Boston for the first time dealing with that big monster. I mean, what a great idea.
Yeah, they're both left field, center field, the angle out there at the 420, sure, and all the way around to the foul pole is kind of unique, and it's nice to have a spring training facility that has that same uniqueness as you have up in Boston.
Seems to make sense. It's surprised more teams don't do it. If you think about making a new spring training home, to have your major league dimensions be the same here in spring training. And the Red Sox have done that with this beautiful ballpark here. And of course, right field a tad different in that you get the fencing on top of the short fencing you do not have at Fenway Park, which Jane Victorino and others will have to deal with when they get to Fenway. But still a tough corner down there in right field here at JetBlue Park. And we hope you keep the tweets coming today. Hashtag #AskThePros. We've had some great questions so far today, and join the conversation. John Wayner and Jerry Remy answering your questions today from JetBlue Park as Russell Martin stands in and promptly lines it to center. Ellsbury in a step and makes the catch. 2 down. And our next question: should managers get a challenge like they do in football? Throw the beanie out there. What do you think?
Well, you'd have to institute instant replay, right?
Yeah.
I mean, for everything.
Well, for everything more than just the boundary calls that you have right now.
I say not. I say let Bill Belichick throw out the beanies and
leave it in the NFL.
Leave it in the NFL.
I'm with you. I like the human element. I mean, I know we have it for home runs and everything else, but I think it's part of baseball, disagreements and arguments. And, I think that's something that, at times can rally your team when the manager goes out there and is defending their players as opposed to throwing a challenge and going to replay. I just think it's always been a part of the game. It's been a part of the game that I've always enjoyed, the disagreements between players, umpires, and they have a tough job. And I think umpires are great. I think they're very good at their profession. They're good at what they do. Yes, they're going to make mistakes. They all make mistakes, but I think that's what makes baseball unique is the disagreements, the controversy, and I'd hate to see it change.
Former Red Sox manager Terry Francona, I thought, had a great idea. You take a look at this, and every year you wonder how much is too much when they start adding stuff from instant replay. But I thought his idea was great, was to carry a fifth umpire and have that fifth umpire not be part of the rotation of the field, but be up in a booth. And if they saw something that was totally wrong, they could call down to whoever and say, "You missed it," and they could fix it right away. It was an interesting thought just to have an eye on this guy who is on the umpiring crew but not on the field.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that feel that way. A lot of people want to get the call right, and I understand that. But I like it the way it is.
2-1 is fouled off, and it's 2-2.
Well, if there were challenges under the Francona rule, you would hope they'd be quick ones like in college football and not like in the NFL, where sometimes they take forever.
Yeah. And 2 balls, 2 strikes here to Travis Snyder's. And an interesting day in right field defensively at the plate. He's 0 for 2, striking out swinging in the second. He flied to left in the 4th inning. And a grounder this time. That's Pedroia sprawling to his left, hops up and throws him out. Dustin with his very good play at second base as always. 7th inning stretch from JetBlue Park at Fenway South. Red Sox lead by 2.
Welcome back to JetBlue Park as we head into the bottom of the 7th. Prospect Brock Holt is an infielder who was acquired by the Red Sox in the offseason from the Pittsburgh Pirates. When he left the Pirates, he was given number 26 by the Red Sox, which he found interesting because his best friend, who he left behind with the Pirates, is a prospect there, Tony Sanchez. And Brock told me that although he couldn't be around Tony 24/7, he knew he could wear Tony 24/7 because Tony also wears number 26. And Brock decided to tweet this fact. He said, "Buddy, I'm going to wear number 26 if I make the Red Sox." Well, Red Sox Nation didn't like this very much because they thought perhaps Brock was disrespecting the great Wade Boggs, who also wore number 26. But Holt took it upon himself to tell fans, no, don't worry. I completely respect what Wade Boggs has done. I was given number 26, and Red Sox Nation apologized. But Brock told me that was a great way to know how passionate Red Sox Nation can be.
Got a feel right out of the gate as we head here into the bottom of the 7th inning, and Iglesias sends one foul down the right field line. On the mound is Vin Mazzaro, his 7th appearance of the spring, 0-1 with a 10.57 earned run average so far, and opponent's hitting at .395 against him as he straightens up Iglesias here with the ball in the count 1-1.
Mazzaro had a decent spring to his last outing. Gave up 6 earned runs in 1 inning of work against Atlanta.
That'll mess up your ERA in a hurry.
Last week, 8 hits, 6 earned runs in 1 inning.
He takes over for Tony Watson, who had a 1-2-3 6th inning. Well, how is Brock Holt tied into John Wayner is the question. What is oh, here we are, 4+ hits, first 5 career games, so there is a tie.
Yeah, I was not aware of that. I know Brock Holt kind of come out of nowhere last year, came up, made an impact. I thought scrappy little player. He had a 4-hit game, obviously, in his first 5. I think it was maybe my 2nd or 3rd start. Somehow scraped together 5 hits. Jim Leland said, you line them up, they don't reach the warning track. Swinging bunt. A little blooper here and a seeing eye single there.
Iglesias strikes out here for the first strikeout for Mazzaro. I got to ask you, the summer that Jim Leland sent you fishing, did you catch any fish during that entire time?
No, I didn't catch. Again, the bad spring player.
All the way around, apparently.
Yeah, bad spring fisher.
No hits, no fish. It was a tough spring, but
I've had more errors than I did hits and fish. Miserable. There was another time with, I guess somewhat of a Red Sox tie. We clinched in '97. And the last week of the season, we go to Philadelphia, and a couple of games before the end of the season, Kurt Schilling was pitching for Philly then. And, one of our guys, Antonio Alfonseca, gave up a 3-run home, I think to Ricky Jordan or somebody. The next pitch, he hit Scott Rowland in the back. Before the ball hit the ground, Leland's yelling at me, "Rock, you're leading off next inning." Because
you're going to get it.
He didn't want to get any real players hurt, So I said, "You serious?" He goes, "Yeah." "You're leading off. Wear a 2-flapped helmet. You might want to get your catching gear too."
Did they come after you right away?
Yeah. Schilling missed with the first 2. The one wasn't too far in. The second one was behind me. So then the warnings came out, and the third one in the belt.
At least you knew it was coming, though.
Oh, yeah. I think it's actually worse knowing that it's coming.
Yeah, I agree.
After the warning, the catcher, I think it was Lieberthal, looked up and he said, well, I guess that's that. I'm like, I'm not so sure. But I was ready to hit, but he couldn't have got me in a better spot. Right in the belt, and that was that.
I can't imagine that being a very comfortable feeling, knowing however long it was, you had to plan for that bad.
I looked up 94, 95, 94, and so it wasn't like he was letting up at all, Schilling. So
I had to go through that one time where we were playing. I was playing for the Angels. Dick Williams was the manager. We were playing the Boston Red Sox. And he had me squeezing with about a 5-run lead the night before. And I was going to be the leadoff guy the next day. And I knew that I was in trouble. And Roger Moret missed me with about 5 pitches.
Greg Brown will take you the rest of the way. We come back to JetBlue Park at Fenway South.
It's a beautiful day for baseball here on the sun coast of Florida. Down at Fort Myers, JetBlue Park at Fenway South. The Red Sox lead 3-1. Well, actually, one of the hotter days of the spring. It's been a really, really cold spring. Greg Brown now joining John Wayner and Jerry Remy as we come together. Nesson and Root Sports bringing you spring training baseball. Yeah, really almost the entire month of March. Really cool.
Yeah.
Jose Tabata, his first at bat.
Jerry, assume you just come down for spring training. Do you have a home down here?
No, I rent a place for the month. March. Rent down in Naples, and beautiful, beautiful city down there, and about 20 minutes from here. Nice little ride to the ballpark. So I basically stay up in the Boston area all year long.
Well, earlier we said that you've got to be at Clearwater tomorrow. We said, not kidding, that it might be about 3 hours from here. But if you're coming from home in Naples, Jerry, you better count on a good 3.5 hours now.
You think so?
I do. Don't you, John?
I don't know how fast he drives.
Okay, that's true. Make it 2.5.
Well, as long as we're there in time for the Open, we're all right.
That's it.
We'll do our prep work tonight.
I think Jamie Erdahl said not with Don driving.
Oh, no, I'll be driving.
Oh, you will be? Okay.
Yeah.
Zazawa's third inning. He got the last 2 outs in the 6th. Tabata's first at bat. Strong start for Clay Buchholz. Tabata got off to a really hot spring. Coming in much better shape. Great attitude. Currently batting .238. And it's 3-2. 10 hits and 42 spring at bats for Tabata. Top of the 8th. First strikeout for Tazawa.
Now, Tazawa's pitched very well in this game. Fastball on the outside part of the plate. Very tough pitch to hit. Tazawa, a guy that throws strikes. You know he's going to be around the strike zone. Very good velocity. Good split-fingered fastball. Having a very impressive performance today.
1 out, and now Jordy Mercer. His first at bat. Mercer hanging around trying to win a job as an extra middle infielder. Saw him involved in a long conversation in the dugout before the game with Pirates general manager Neil Huntington. The other day, the Pirates acquired John McDonald, veteran middle infielder from Arizona. So McDonald is on the club. And that could mean that a guy like Jordy Mercer would be the odd man out. But you never know.
Yeah, he's had a good spring. He's always playing solid defense and impressed me offensively this spring. Very patient. He's drew a ton of walks and solid at bat after solid at bat.
Clint Hurdle stayed back in Bradenton to watch some of the minor leaguers at Pirate City. So Jeff Bannister, the bench coach, is managing the club next to a veteran baseball man, Dave Jouse, who will be on the coaching staff this year. Jeff Bannister didn't have a long major league career, but certainly unforgettable. He has one at bat in 1991 with the Pittsburgh Pirates. It was a base hit against the Atlanta Braves at Three Rivers Stadium off Dan Petrie, his only big league at bat. Bannister, who was a 25th round pick of the Pirates in 1986, came up through their minor leagues and got the call in 1991. And the one opportunity he had, he delivered at Three River Stadium. An infield single off Dan Petrie. So a career batting average of 1,000 for Banny.
Pretty amazing.
Never forget that hit, will he?
No.
Talking with Jeff Branson, the assistant hitting coach. And Mercer draws another walk. That's been kind of a story. Mercer has shown quite an eye this spring, leading the team, having drawn 10 free passes. Your first big league hit, guys, huh? Jerry?
First big league hit?
Yep.
Of Steve Busby. Steve Busby, first at bat, Anaheim Stadium. Drove in a run. Red Angels lead at 1-0. We're going all the way to the World Series, with the exception that on the next pitch, the old first to third got me at first base.
Is that right?
Yes, it did.
Which is being eliminated this year. The old first to third.
Yeah.
Every time somebody says, "Oh, that never works,"
just ask Jerry Remy.
Yeah.
It works. How about you, John?
Well, the first at bat was a grounder to short. First hit was a grounder to short. Last out at Three River Stadium, a little tapper grounder to left side. Last hit, a grounder to short. Yeah, so all I did was roll over and hit grounders, and sometimes I beat them out. Most of the times I was thrown out. But Tom Browning, change up, I think, or sinker something down and away.
Good time for a tweet. There's John and Jerry reminisce about their first hits. If you can change anything in your career, however, what would it have been?
I would have liked to have been about 6'5" and weigh about 220 and hit about 40 home runs a year, I think.
Well, that doesn't. I mean, I'm close to that in size, and I couldn't hit the ball out of the ballpark. So, I have no regrets. I mean, it would have been neat to be able to calm down and relax and have fun. I tell you, as much as I've been up and down, I mean, as much as I enjoyed the times in the big leagues, it was almost a relief to go down, because then I got to play every day. To me, that was I had so much fun in the minor leagues just because it wasn't as pressure packed. I loved the big leagues and I appreciated every moment. But I liked playing. I liked competing, and to me, if I had that opportunity to compete more consistently, and if I would have played better, I would have had the opportunity to play a little more. So, to me, it would have just been relaxing and playing better, I guess.
Looks like John Farrell is going to make a change here, with Tazawa having walked back-to-back Pirate batters, striking out Tabata to start this 8th inning, but then walking Mercer and then Marte on 4 pitches. Alex Presley is due up for Pittsburgh. But we're talking about that at the outset, about what spring training is like, that for veterans and working on some certain things, but for bubble guys who may return to the minor leagues, it's a stressful time.
Yeah, we were talking about it earlier, trying to get through spring training. I mean, you just can't wait to get the news one way or the other.
New pitcher coming on. The Bucks trail 3-1. 2013. Red Sox leading the Pirates 3-1. Clay Buchholz started, gave up a run in 5 1/3. For the Pirates, Jeff Locke gave up 3 runs, 2 earned in 4 innings. No question, of course, about Buchholz's spot in the Red Sox rotation, but still a big question mark in terms of Jeff Locke, whether he will be part of the Pirates rotation. Now, Anthony Carter, a non-roster invite. He's had a perfect spring so far, Jerry. 9 1/3, 3 unearned runs.
Well, a guy that's trying to find a spot in the bullpen that's already very deep. And even though he has had a very good spring, it's going to be very difficult to find a spot in the Red Sox bullpen because they do have a number of very good arms out there. That is one of the strengths of the ball club, is the bullpen for Boston.
Well, Presley for the Pirates has flied to the warning track in center, bounced to first, and walked. A snap throw to first base, and the ball hits Marte, and that will enable Jordy Mercer to move up 90 feet. David Ross, his throw hits Marte.
Something the Red Sox have been working on quite a bit, trying to pick off base runners, particularly at first base. We've seen quite a bit of it, and especially from David Ross. This one looks like it gets the base runner. It does, right off the arm. It deflects away. Napoli doesn't know where the ball is until he finds it around that first base coach's box.
How's that worked out so far? Just curious. We were talking about it yesterday.
Doesn't work out very well usually.
No, it doesn't. I'm not a big fan. And
I was wondering about the purpose of it, really.
Yeah.
How often is it worth the risk?
And
because the Pirates are doing the same thing with their catchers.
And in that situation, first and second, you got a left-handed batter up, and you're asking your first baseman to vacate early, which opens up a hole for the left-handed batter. If the pitcher, they're calling for a pitch off the plate and to throw down there, but if you leave the pitch on the plate and he hits a little dribbler through the hole, you're going to give up at least 1 run, and you're going to give up probably a first and third situation in a 2-run ball game. So. I know they work on things, and the catchers do, as do the pitchers, and holding the runners and everything else like that. But for me, very rarely does the catcher throwing behind the runner work.
Yeah, sometimes it's just better off to put it in the back pocket.
Yep.
1 ball, 2 strike count now. Just misses. Bob Davidson, home plate umpire today. 2-2 on Presley. Bucks down a pair. Red Sox infield looks for 2. There goes Marte from first. This will bring home a run. And gets past the first baseman Napoli, and Marte will go to third. Presley will wind up at second.
Yeah, we'll see how they roll it. A bit sloppy all of a sudden, the Red Sox here defensively. The Pirates putting on looked like a little hit and run action. First and third situation, and Presley just slapping the ball the other way like you're supposed to. The off-balance throw.
Yeah, you had Bogarts, who just came into the ball game a little while ago, going to his left. This is one of the Red Sox top prospects. He played in the WBC. For the Netherlands, and that time just holding on to the baseball too long, got a bad grip on it, throwing it away, and that quickly the Pirates have the potential go-ahead run, or tying run I should say, in scoring position, or go-ahead run.
That'll be a hit for Presley and an RBI, and the error on Bogarts. And Josh Harrison's first at bat. Neil Walker was 0 for 3 as the starting second baseman. Harrison hitting .273 this spring. And a dribbler. And this will tie the game as Harrison gets the RBI, scoring Marte.
Yeah, productive at bat for Jay Hay. Get the infield back. Put the ball in play on the ground up the middle. In the worst case scenario, you score 1. Get lucky, find the hole, you score 2.
Presley now at third. And a 3-all ball game in the 8th. The batter Pedro Alvarez 1 out of 3.
Talking about Bogart's a shortstop. He went over to play in that WBC. He was actually a regular shortstop, but he played third base in the WBC and started off playing third base for the Red Sox in spring training. So moving back to his normal position did not look comfortable at all on that throw to first base.
Yeah, I suppose that would be another concern we were talking earlier as far as getting pitchers in that competitive atmosphere and risking injury. You know, when you start getting prospects moved around different positions. Whoa.
Alvarez deep to right. John Wayner was talking about the power this guy has earlier, and he just showed some of that off. A 2-run bomb for Alvarez, his first home run of the spring, and now the Pirates lead it 5-3.
Now you guys were hoping for some home runs from the Pirates. Got a big one right there.
I'd say, again, that this guy, when he makes decent contact and gets it in the air, this is what you see a lot of. Just so strong, like a bull. Wind or no wind, it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what ballpark. And he gets the ball up in the air, it's going to leave anywhere.
Alvarez knew it. His first of the spring. Hit 30 last year for the Pirates.
And that, to me, another encouraging thing about that a home run, the fastball in, didn't turn over, didn't pull it foul, hit the inside fastball into left center field. That's about picture perfect as far as mechanically staying inside the ball, staying through the ball.
And that's exactly where the Red Sox wanted to go with that pitch. They wanted to go inside with it, and he was still able to handle it.
Yep.
So Carter giving up the infield hit to Presley and a couple errors in the inning, and now the long home run for Alvarez. Now 3-2 on Jones. His home run in the second was his first of the spring.
You know, that's what you hope for. You know, get these guys hot. Last week's spring training, and hopefully they'll stay that way as we open up next week.
That is ripped to right. Foul. Garrett Jones had a solid 2012 campaign. Figures to platoon at least initially at first base with Gabby Sanchez. Though you'll likely see him in right field now and again.
Yeah, I really think he took off last year after just simplifying things. You know, we saw it earlier in this at bat. I think what got him in trouble, you know, much of his career at the big league level is, you know, gets up there thinking a little bit. We saw him chase a couple breaking pitches in the dirt, gets a little excited, and maybe it guesses a little too much. When he just goes up there and relaxes and sees it, lets the ball get deep. For a big man, certainly has a short, quick swing. And the longer he sees it, the better off he is.
Another foul ball, and they employ the shift with the third baseman Middlebrooks now playing over at second. Bogart stays at his shortstop position, and Pedroia playing essentially shallow right.
And even a little bit more of a pull shift put on by the Red Sox this time. Pedroia a little bit closer to that foul line than he has been in some of the other shifts.
Another line drive foul.
It's a dead pull swing right there, isn't it?
And that's where, again, sometimes I think he gets into trouble. You see the home run where he hit it, you know, straight away. And,
right.
You know, and when he stays inside the ball, when he stays back, it's, you know, it is power to all fields. But at times, usually when he starts struggling is when he wants to get out there and press the issue and try to force the home run, try to be too quick.
"27 home runs last year, and he works the walk. Neves going to talk to Carter, with Carlos Paulino coming to the plate. Let's head back downstairs to Robbie Ince-Mikowski. Robbie?
Well, guys, we got a little bit of an update here on a couple maybe future starters for the Pirates, and Charlie Morton, Francisco Liriano, two guys who also have had Tommy John surgery in their history. But Charlie Morton threw live BP today. Francisco Liriano is scheduled to throw it tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. We'll keep you updated tomorrow as our game will be broadcast on Root Sports tomorrow, starting with a 12:30 pregame show. We'll keep you updated. And you talk about Jeff Locke with the fifth starter candidate. Should someone maybe falter in that spot, Greg, you can see Morton or Liriano as being good candidates for that spot down the road if the situation needs it.
All right, Robbie, thank you. Yeah, you get the impression the Pirates are going to just try and hold their ground for a couple weeks until Liriano is ready. He'll be first, and then Morton down the road as he recovers from Tommy John. So the pinch runner there, Matt Curry at first. Carlos Paulino, a non-roster invite, but will begin the year in the minors. Perhaps a Double-A Altoona in the Pirates organization. Well, he has shown a strong arm.
Yeah, you want him in the game when there's a stolen base opportunity. This kid can throw. It's pretty amazing, actually. He can throw as well as anybody from behind the plate.
Strikeout of Carlos Paulino ends the top half of the 8th inning. The Pirates score 4 times, capped off by the 2-run homer of Pedro Alvarez, his first of the spring. Pirates leading at 5-3, going to the bottom of the 8th inning here. 9,750 the paid attendance at JetBlue Park, Fenway South, Fort Myers, Florida. Greg Brown, John Wehner, Jerry Remy. Don Orsillo was the Red Sox with Jerry on Nesson, joined us earlier. And of course, a Fenway tradition, Sweet Caroline. Vin Mazzaro, his second inning of work, faces Dustin Pedroia. Get to some changes in a moment. Fun part of spring, isn't it, Jerry? All the changes.
It's like I call it the fog of spring training. It's just trying to find out who's playing where and where they're hitting in the lineup.
It's a lot easier just to say the nice block by the catcher.
Yeah.
Good grab by the third baseman, whatever the case may be.
Jose Tabata moves from right to left. Felix Piet takes over in center. And Pirates have a minor league prospect playing right field. Ball popped out of play. There's Gregory Polanco. New third baseman is Eric Avila. High 2-2. Matt Curry stays in the game to play first base. He was pinch running earlier for Garrett Jones in the top of this eighth. Oh, Vin Mazzaro all of a sudden looking like a different pitcher.
Yeah.
I saw the other day. Pedroia takes the big swing and the miss.
A long afternoon for Dustin. 0 for 4 on the afternoon. 3 ground ball outs. Now the strikeout on the breaking ball.
And that kind of left it up a little bit. That breaking ball, middle in, had him out in front, and got him out in front because he threw a fairly decent fastball. Looked like it got on Pedroia a little bit earlier in the at bat. Did you get to see your new closer yet?
Yes, a guy you're very familiar with.
Yeah.
He's looks like he's going to be a good one for us. He's got that good fastball, a nasty slider. He's had a couple of rocky outings, a couple of tough outings, but some very good ones too down here in spring training, and it's going to be fun to watch him pitch the ninth inning for us.
Pirates traded Joel Hanrahan and Brock Holt to Boston over the winter to get a handful of Red Sox players, including Mark Melanson, who figures to set up Jason Grilli, and another strikeout for Mazzaro. He gets Napoli looking.
A little different outing for Mazzaro than last time out for him. He's pitched very well here this afternoon. 4 strikeouts so far in the game for him. Again, he goes to the breaking ball to Napoli and has the legs buckling a little bit on that one.
Yeah, and setting it up with that sneaky quick fastball and that breaking ball. Always got to be a good feeling for a pitcher, never for a hitter to get that noodle leg.
Mazzaro, a bounce back outing here after really struggling in 3 days ago against the Braves in Orlando. 6 runs in 1 inning, 8 hits. Lyle Overbay, a former Pirate, on deck. Wow.
Impressive.
He strikes out 5 of the 6 batters he faces. Vin Mazzaro trying to win a job in the Pirates bullpen. Pirates lead, top of the 9th inning. Former Pirate Brock Holt. A better look at the Red Sox infielder, former Pirate, who came over with Joel Hanrahan in that deal we talked about moments ago. Brock Holt now taking over at second. Mike Karp is over at first. Drew Sutton, another former Pirate, over at third base. Lucas May, been in camp as a backup catcher, faces Brock Hunsinger. Oh, 0-2. May has had a decent spring offensively. Actually more than decent. 4.21 average before that strikeout looking. One down in the 9th.
Well, Hunsinger, one of those guys called up for the minor league camp today to pitch late in the ball game here for the Red Sox, and that time picks up the outside corner with that two-seam fastball for the strikeout. Pitch that right-handers have a tendency to give up on, and a little tail on it picks up the corner.
Tabata struck out his last time up. And now 0-2. The Red Sox will go to Clearwater tomorrow. The Pirates are back home, take on the Baltimore Orioles. And now a ball and 2 strikes. Tabata, the Pirates signed him to a long-term extension a couple of years ago. Really struggled maybe with the attitude last year. A little bit of a weight issue. Down in the minor leagues for a while. Had some injuries and trying to win the job back as he drives one deep to left. Jose Tabata into second base with a double.
Yeah, that's where I guess where the monster hurts you as a hitter, because that ball it would be out of most ballparks. And after a bunch of fastballs, he gets a breaking ball, and looked like Jose was sitting on that breaking ball, hit it high off the monster.
Yeah, it's that breaking ball that stays about knee-high, middle of the plate, and Tabata puts a pretty good charge in it right above that netting. Up over the left field wall.
Is that high enough to get out of Fenway?
No, that would be right at the top of the wall at Fenway Park. Fenway is a better hitter's ballpark than the spring training facility.
Is that right?
Especially in the summer when the wind's blowing out, the warm temperatures.
So here it's a little higher then, huh, Jerry?
Yes, it's a little bit higher here. If you look above where the screen part of the wall is, that would be probably the top of the wall at Fenway Park.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a little additional room here to get it out of the ballpark.
Jordy Mercer drew a walk last inning and scored. Tabata at second with a double off the wall. Hits even at 7 apiece now. Well, this is quite a complex, though, Jerry, huh? Spectacular place.
Very nice complex. You know, the Red Sox have been fortunate. They've had in Fort Myers for many years now 2 really nice ballparks. The old ballpark that they played at, which is hopefully will gather some team to come down in the area, and that would be 3 teams in this area. And of course, the new complex here has been a big hit for the last 2 years since opening. advantage here. They finally have all their practice facilities right here at the same complex, all their extra fields in the back.
Mercer caught looking. Second strikeout for Hunsinger. And now Felix P.A.
Well, that backup sinker you were talking about a little bit ago, Jerry, and looked like it started maybe a little bit off the plate, came back, caught that outside corner.
Yeah, so tough for right-handers. He give up on that pitch, and you get just enough movement back toward the corner to have a strike called.
Felix P.A. still hanging around. Signed a minor league free agent deal with the Pirates over the winter. Non-roster invite. And one of the more impressive players this camp. An outfielder with big league experience with the Cubs. A few years with Baltimore.
I kind of like to see him get on base. I want to see the on-deck batter get an opportunity here. A big prospect, Gregory Polanco. Pirates minor league player of the year last year. Put up some ridiculous numbers down in West Virginia, low A team. Certainly a name you don't want to forget. Gregory Polanco, 325, 16 home runs, 85 RBIs, and to boot 40 stolen bases. He and Alan Hansen together in West Virginia, top prospects.
Deep but foul by Felix P.A. Coming your way from JetBlue Park in Fort Myers. Nesson and Root Sports combining efforts. Greg Brown, John Wayner, Jerry Remy, Don Orsillo joined you earlier. Robbie Ince-Mikowski, Jamie Erdahl.
You're used to being much closer at Fenway North, aren't you?
Oh, and the old booth, yes, it was great. It was almost like Tiger Stadium, where it was so close. You were right on the field. It was great. It was a great booth, but then when they built this addition behind home plate, they moved us way up to the top. Still a good booth, but the old one, it was hard to beat.
Yeah.
The problem is there was no heat, no air conditioning in there. It got a little cold and a little hot.
Yeah.
We were there once, right?
Yeah.
And I'm guessing that was the old booth. It was a little lower. I don't know. When they do the renovation?
Oh, no. I don't. You've probably never seen the old booth. No. It was probably the new one.
I remember it being pretty close.
Tiger Stadium was ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
You ever do a game from Tiger Stadium?
That was crazy.
I mean, that was you would actually duck.
Yep.
It was so close.
Every
that
foul ball.
The guy would make contact, and you would actually duck behind your monitor.
We've got that same scenario at McKechnie Field in Bradenton.
Yeah.
Any foul ball, you got to duck. Well, we are going to see one of the Pirate top prospects get an at-bat. Gregory Polanco's Felix P.A. walks, 2 on, 2 outs.
And a lot of contact too as I look at his numbers. Not only the home runs, RBIs, but just 64 strikeouts and 437 at bats.
He's had 5 spring training at bats with Pittsburgh this March, 1 for 5. 6'4", 204 pounds. Minor league player of the year in the Pirates organization last season, Gregory Polanco from Santo Domingo, the Dominican Republic.
It's pretty impressive, the numbers you gave, John, with the home run numbers, the RBI numbers, the speed numbers, and a guy that makes contact does not strike out very much.
Yeah. Just 21 years old.
1-2 now on Polanco. Two outs, 2 on, 9th inning. Brock Hunsinger struck out Lucas May to start. Tabata doubled off the wall after Mercer struck out. PA walked. This should do it. Brock Holt on the first. Final at bat for the Red Sox. Go to the bottom of the 9th. 5. .5-3 Pirates go to the bottom of the 9th inning. This is a presentation of Nesson and Root Sports from JetBlue Park, Fenway South, Fort Myers. Red Sox try to come back against left-hander Nate Baker. Pirates hitting a pair of home runs today. Garrett Jones got the Bucks started in the top of the 2nd inning. It was scoreless against Clay Buchholz. Jones's first home run of the spring over the left center field wall. And then Pedro Alvarez with a man aboard, a 4-run 8th, capped off by this Alvarez shot. That off Anthony Carter, first home run of the spring for the Pirates' third baseman, giving Pittsburgh this 5-3 lead. Lyle Overbay leads off against minor leaguer Nate Baker. .229 average this spring for the veteran Overbay.
Overbay trying to make the Red Sox as a backup first baseman in competition with Daniel Nava, who can play both first base and the outfield, which may give him an advantage over Overbay, but we'll have to wait and see.
And under the glove of Curry. Matt Curry will be charged with an error. A routine ground ball. The minor leaguer making the trip down from Pirate City.
You get caught not moving those feet. You just kind of stand there stationary. It makes it much more difficult for an infielder. You get the feet going forward, maybe get yourself a better hop.
He's also expecting that ball to bounce up. He didn't have that glove down near the ground, working from the ground up. So the Red Sox got what they want. They got the potential tying run at the plate.
Now, the last time we were here, Overbay played in left field. Have you seen him out there at all? I don't know if they were trying to see if he could do it. He didn't look that comfortable, but I know he was out in left field last time we were in town.
You're exactly right, yeah. And he hasn't, I don't know, I'm not sure he's been out there since.
You have to wonder if it was his decision.
Yeah.
1 ball, 1 strike on Johnny Gomes. It's first and second. As Gomes is hit by the pitch.
Nowhere to go on this one.
Nope. Yeah, he won't even head to first. He's going to get a pinch runner, but yeah, there's no getting out of the way of that.
Johnny Gomes taking it off that left elbow, it looks like. Some padding on that left elbow, and he'll be taken out of the ball game.
Ryan Sweeney pinch running. Former first round pick Blake Swihart, Red Sox first round pick a couple of years ago, coming on to catch in the top of this inning. His first at bat. And now Ray Searage.
How do you think the Red Sox will play this? Think they'll play this for a tie? Going in the bottom of the ninth, you got a couple of men on, the first and second, nobody out. Working toward the bottom of the batting order, you might see a sacrifice here.
Yeah, I can't see it, but you never know. I don't know. Maybe with the new regime here, maybe they will go that route.
Nate Baker out of the University of Mississippi, a fifth-round pick of the Pirates in 2009. Blake Swihart's numbers last year. Two on, nobody out. Pirates have their first baseman in on the grass, Curry. And showing bunt. Ball one.
No, you call it, Jerry.
Yeah, a couple of men on, working to the bottom of the order in the first attempt to sacrifice.
Popped it up and dropped by Curry.
Oh, no, they don't. No, they didn't. Tag him. Whoa, what are we doing? They didn't call an infield fly on that?
No, I don't think so.
No infield fly?
I don't think they did. That's a double play.
How about that?
Talk about a crazy play right there. First of all, you're upset that he didn't get the ball on the ground. They drop it, and it turns into a double play. Wow. There's a bad bunt.
How do you not call it?
Is there anything about the bunt that...
No. I mean,
because I saw Bob Davidson look toward the
Red Sox dugout
and show bunt.
So maybe they can't call the infield fly in a bunt.
Boy, poor Matt Curry ends up, first baseman drops the ball but ends up getting a double play out of it.
I think he preferred the last play to be somewhere else in this inning.
Yeah.
He was taking his eye off that ball on the pop-up and looking toward third base.
It was the Pirates minor leaguer who allowed Overbay to reach initially in this inning, the error, but turns what could have been a terrible miscue into a double play. So it's 2 outs. Swihart is on, and Xander Bogaerts. And that is it. John and Jerry, final thoughts.
Well, from the Red Sox point of view, good pitching by Clay Buchholz again this spring. Saltalamacchia with a couple of hits. Those are the positives of the day as far as I'm concerned for Boston.
Other than the opportunity to work with you and Don, the positives, Garrett Jones, Pedro Alvarez getting on the board with the long ball.
Pleasure working with you, Jerry, Remy, and you, John, as well, and Don, of course, and all the folks here. Our final score 5-3. Thank you for joining us today. For Pirate fans watching us on Root Sports, please stay tuned for more post-game coverage from right here at JetBlue Park at Fenway South, where the Pirates defeat Boston by the final count of 5-3. This has been a presentation